Alright, so now we should be going live. Welcome everyone. This is on Just Restart. I am joined by Kazoo from the Yellow Kazoo. It's our first time on the cast. Welcome,
Hello.
Kazoo. How you doing?
Everyone.
How are things? I know we had a little bit of mic difficulties, but you know.
Yes, that was stressful.
It came through though.
But yes, it worked out. Yeah.
And I haven't introduced you to Brandon. You saw him on the stream last time, but Brandon is kind of like, he has his own Nintendo news channel as well. What About Nintendo? By the way, both the links to everyone's channels are they're in the description, guys. So if you haven't been there, check them out. Because who's new here, please check her out. She streams a lot of Nintendo games. I've seen you do a few vlogs as well. You know, she does her own podcast as well. I was on it last week, actually. We had a good time. So make sure to check her out, guys. Last week, actually, we had a good time.
Gosh.
Maybe earphones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's fine. But Brandon, you haven't spoken yet, so.
Yep.
Brandon, Kazoo, Brandon.
Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
Brandon.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And Kazoo, chat. Hello, chat. What is going on, chat?
Hello, chat.
Danya Braggs, what's up? Roby, you guys are here early. My bro Sean from Monolith64, how's it going, man? Sabbath. Looks like everything's good to go. Did you get the earphones in already, Kazoo?
No, I didn't yet. But you can,
Take your time.
Oh gosh, so sorry.
We got some stuff to talk about. Focus on me. What's up? So
guess we did focus on them then. Huh.
Indeed. Let me see where am I? Where am I at here? Okay, cool. All right, everything looks to be good to go. So I'll just kind of briefly go over what we're going to talk about. I have a random topic I'm going to bring up at the beginning. A lot of you guys have heard about it. I'll just wait till it comes in because I kind of like the element of surprise. It's nothing crazy. We've talked about it before. But the planned topics, right? We're going to go over the Best Buy leak because even though I talked about it in the last podcast, we talked about it here, and I'm sure with Brandon on here, we will definitely look at it from different angles. So we're going to be getting into the Best Buy leak, right? Then we'll be getting into this April Nintendo Direct rumor, which is the main topic, right? But I feel like the Best Buy leak kind of like trickles into it. They're like one giant topic. So, you know, just bear with me here. We're going to touch on Wolfenstein Youngblood not really having a cartridge. It is technically a retail release, but there's no cartridge in the case. It's download only. We're going to get into that. And then we're going to talk about Labo VR, which is kind of already a known thing, but last week Nintendo announced perhaps the biggest thing, and that's that, you know, Breath of the Wild VR, Mario Odyssey VR, which is pretty cool.
Super hyped about that.
And I'm sure by that point, something else really interesting that maybe you guys in the chat will ask us or bring up will probably close out the discussion. And by close out, it might end up being another 2 hours. So we'll see what happens. So, you know, we got a lot of stuff to do. Kazoo, because this is your first time, we'll just kind of go over the rules. Whenever you say something, you have to have your hand on your head, you know, like this, and you have to pat your belly, and then you have to switch it every 30 minutes. You know, you gotta continue to do that.
Got it.
But the one rule that actually exists, and there's only one rule, is it's not even a rule. It's more like a guide, right? Because I try to have just, you know, good conversation, but we answer questions between topics, right? So like sometimes we might bring up something in the middle of a topic, but you know, between topics we try to go in and out, you know, of the chat because everyone brings up such great points and we try to address them, give our thoughts and things like that. So we interact with the chat throughout the podcast basically, but you know, we do usually try to do it between the topics. That way we can have like, you know, one healthy connected discussion without it being completely separated the entire time. So guys in the chat, bear with us. I will try and keep us connected throughout, but you know, sometimes topics will get a little long. Yeah, so, you know, now that we're all ready and good to go, we are ready and good to go, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
hope
First
so.
topic I'm going to bring up that's not even planned, just kind of because I was watching a few videos on it, and I was just thinking about what we talked about last week. What do you guys think about the Switch Pro? Do you think it's going to be like this monster system? Like, the whole theory that's been going around is that maybe it was actually Nintendo's original planned NX, like that was supposed to be it, but because they wanted to rush to the market and be ready, they just put a stock chip in there from Nvidia, And what we're going to be getting is going to be some sort of custom chip that's more than just a stock X2, for example, or whatever. And that's what we're going to get. I mean, I don't know if I 100% believe it, but I mean, I think the end result is going to be similar anyway. Where do you guys stand on that? I know, Kazoo, you saw a video from Nintendo Prime. I haven't seen that video yet. I saw Super Metal Day's video talking about his video, actually. But it's an interesting thing. Where do you guys stand on this theory?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. The whole Switch Pro thing, like, I don't know, it's just really, I definitely think it's really interesting. And as far as it being what the original Switch was supposed to be, like you said, I saw that video from Nintendo Prime, which is like it was a really fantastic video, to be honest, because it just brought up a lot of points that I thought were very interesting, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, when you look at the Switch, right, it's using what? Brandon, you're really good with this stuff, but it's basically just a stock chip, right, from NVIDIA.
Yeah. So it's just a heavily downclocked version, so it just runs slower, I guess you could say. But it's the exact same chip as what's in, say, the NVIDIA Shield.
Right, and what's interesting about that, and this is what I do vaguely understand about Nintendo, is that every time they make a system, excluding the Switch, it is like this really weird chipset and computers thing that most of the industry has to like learn and figure out, like, which kind of has been a bad thing for them in the past, but it's always like this customized thing, and because it's customized, once you figure it out and you can tap into its power, it has a lot of interesting power. Like, I remember there's this narrative with the GameCube where people didn't quite understand how to use it, but I don't remember the exact naming, but there was like this, I want to say pipeline system, maybe TEV or something like that. Basically, there were very few developers that knew how to take advantage of like the shaders on the GameCube, which is why the textures were never really as advanced looking compared to Xbox games. But there were some developers who knew how to use it, like with Factor 5. They were always talking about the shader technology in the GameCube. It was basically kind of like a custom thing. It was more work, but the GameCube was capable of some great things, but not a lot of developers were able to figure that out because it was custom. It wasn't really made in a way that was easy for everyone to use. So even though the Switch isn't like the most original like chipset Nintendo's ever made, it's also the most known and easy to access and understand, especially because they also put a lot of effort into making sure that it worked really well with Unreal Engine and things of that nature, which has made it really easy for developers to develop for the system. So I'm just saying, you know, I guess, what do they call it? An SoC, right? Like a unique SoC that Nintendo would work on. Maybe a unique SoC wouldn't have been a good thing because it wouldn't have been so easy for developers to make the system. Brandon, I know you're more tech savvy, so what do you say to that?
I think it depends. I think the more hard to understand thing is actual new technologies inside it, new ways of using chipsets and things like that. Like when the PlayStation 3 came out, it had this cell processor that the architecture and the way you coded things was just completely different than anything else. I think they could have made something custom and it would have been fine as long as they use things like parts that are known, because they could add parts or take away or change things as long as they're known quantities. They use the same architecture, the same code. It's like plug and play. It's like Legos, I guess, for simplified terms. You don't have to change the way you put them in or anything like that. It's just the same concepts, just, you know, with different actual technology.
Okay.
So I think they could have done that. Personally,
and it still
my
could have been
theory,
easy to develop for, right?
Yeah, it still would have been easy as long as they didn't use something like new, like what you were saying. The shaders is the way you actually program them is different from the other thing, so it doesn't fit directly into it coming from somewhere else. My personal theory is that they didn't want to spend a lot of money on something custom and really spend the R&D on that for something they weren't sure was going to take off, and so they used something a little bit easier, a little bit more, you know, they can just throw it in there. There's already a bunch made that they're not using from Tegra shields and stuff that they can take out and put in there. So I think that's kind of why.
Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they have a bunch from those, and that didn't sell very well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, predictions. What exactly do you guys think the Switch Pro is going to be? And when do you think we're going to see it? I'll just say I'll say what I want.
Okay.
I'll say what I want. So, I'm going to will it into being. I'm going to make it it's a prediction because my wishes will become fact. I want the Switch Pro to be power-wise. I don't need it to be 4K or whatever. I don't expect that to be the case, but I'm thinking Xbox One-ish range, maybe a little bit more, but that's like PS4 is the peak, but I'm expecting Xbox One range, base Xbox One range in terms of actual like hard power output, right? And then, you know, when it's in handheld mode, just, you know, goes down to 720p, basically the way the Switch is now. And it's going to come with a new dock, and this new dock is going to have an Ethernet port. The system itself is going to have a bit more internal storage. It's going to run better. It's going to be snappier. The Joy-Cons won't break easily. The bezel will be reduced, as everyone is predicting. Woo, I know, crazy prediction, right? And I think there's going to be something else to it that's going to really wow people. I heard that there might be like this, I forget the terminology for it, but like this special type of USB port that it can allow for faster charging. I've heard that might be in both the Switch Mini and the Pro, so that's interesting.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, so like, you know, apparently a lot of phones have it where there's like a fast charge option. So for the Switch and its portability, especially with the Switch Pro, because it's going to be a lot. You're basically going to be, if I'm right, power-wise, right, you're going to carry an Xbox One wherever you go in your palm of your hands, power-wise. That's a lot of power to have in the palm of your hands, right? The Switch is already ridiculous for a handheld, but like that's very power-consuming. So, you know, even if they put in a better battery, which I do think they will have, I have to imagine that, you know, its battery's still not going to be, like, amazing. Like, I don't think the Switch battery is ever going to be considered, wow, that's the best battery ever. It lasts for 20 hours. That's just, maybe if you're playing, like, indie games, it'll last 20 hours. Like, that would be pretty cool, actually. If they could get the Switch Pro to last for about 20 hours for indie games, that'd be great, because then you're kind of getting back to, like, the Game Boy SP kind of days in terms of battery, you know, consumption.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that. That while it might also have the Xbox One level of power, it would also not have. The battery life would probably stay the same essentially, because it's more powerful, even if the battery's better.
Yeah, and I mean, there have been tons of advancements in the mobile area to increase, you know, or I guess decrease the amount of electricity it uses to take, you know, to get to the same power level or even more. And I mean, what the Switch uses, there's stuff that's more than twice as energy efficient. There's stuff that's 3 times as energy efficient as what's in the normal Switch. So that, I mean, we could be seeing stuff that's just way more powerful with the same or better battery life. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't know if it will reach Xbox One levels, honestly. NVIDIA hasn't made a chip that as powerful as the Xbox One. That's affordable. I don't know. Because all their chipsets, the thing is, it's hard to predict because their chipsets are made for AI tech and stuff. So I think we're going to see something heavily custom. I don't think it's going to be...
Which ties into the other theory, right? That maybe this is like the true NX, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with the theory. I'm just saying regardless, if it's going to be custom, it would probably yield a bit more power than your typical off-the-shelf chip, right?
Yeah, it definitely would, especially since none of these, even the X1 was never purely meant for gaming. They made it partially for gaming because they had the Shield tablet as an experiment, but it was also meant for AI tasks. So if they get something that's purely meant just for gaming, then I think they could really take that to another level.
Okay, very nice. I'd be okay with that. So then, do you guys have any different predictions? So I guess, you know, Brandon, from your perspective, Xbox One might be a bit too much of an expectation, right? But besides that, are your predictions for the Switch Pro any different from mine?
I'm hoping for a 1080p screen. Since there's games that already reach 720p, it'd be nice because there's just gonna be a bunch of wasted power for the games like Smash and things like that that reach 720p. So I'd hope they get a 1080p screen in there, especially for VR. I just made a video on that today about how much better VR would be with a 1080p screen. So you guys should check that out after the podcast.
Yeah, links in the description.
So yeah, I'm hoping for a 1080p screen. I don't think it's out of the question.
Okay. I mean, the original Wall Street Journal report suggested that that was in consideration. They're thinking about having a different screen with a better screen, maybe. So, you know, that's not, like, completely out of left field. I think that's definitely in the cards. So, like, let's say it's $400. So let's say a $400 1080p screen, not crappy Joy-Cons, comes with a dock with an Ethernet port. Battery life is a little bit better. Did I ever mention 1080p? Okay, a reduced bezel, and maybe if not Xbox One level, approaching it. And maybe that's more thanks to the fact that it's a custom SoC rather than just an off-the-shelf X2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Approaching, okay? Approaching. Which isn't
Mhm.
quite there, but approaching. That's me being a bit more
I think
reserved.
it will be in that ballpark. I think it will kind of be like the PS4 and Xbox One, where they're, you know, they're similar. They run the same games, pretty much the same, you know, textures and everything. They're, you know, Xbox runs it at 900p, PlayStation runs it at 1080p. You know, Switch probably in the 720p range, but it, you know, it won't be like Doom where it has to run things at 30 with heavily reduced textures.
So you mean like 720p 60?
Yeah. I'm talking same frame rate, same graphics quality.
Interesting. So that's
slightly lower resolution.
So it's not that I don't want that, but my question to you is this, right? So like for example, games currently that are being ported to Switch from the other systems, like Doom, like Wolfenstein, they have to be at 30 frames per second. That's a big difference, right?
Mhm.
But if the Switch Pro can run those games at 60 FPS, are they going to have two different FPS settings for the Switch then? You know?
What do you mean?
Okay, so like, because I don't think the games that are going to be for Switch Pro are going to be exclusive to Switch Pro. I think they're still going to be available for normal Switch. So are they just going to have to plan? Are they just? It's going to be the same cartridge or same download in the case of Youngblood, but you know, like, what do you think of that? Like, do you think that's going to be a potential issue? Like, is having to have two different graphical settings there into the coding, is that an issue? Like, I guess they would have to develop for both.
So. Essentially, I mean, when you go to the Xbox, you don't buy an Xbox One X disc and an Xbox One disc or a PS4 Pro disc and a PS4 disc. It just auto changes the settings depending on what you have. Okay. You just put it in the disk drive and it works. And so I think it'll be the same thing.
You do have that checkerboard thing, right? Like, isn't there an option for, like, for example, like 4K 30 or 1080 60 on Xbox One and PS4 Pro?
It depends on the game.
But it is sometimes an option to switch frame rate.
Yes. And sometimes there are what they call performance mode and a graphics mode. So sometimes they'll have that and sometimes they won't.
Okay.
It just depends.
Okay. Well. Alright, 1080p, 60 FPS games, Ethernet port, not shitty Joy-Cons, no bezel or just very little bezel. I like it. And fast charging.
Yes, fast charging would be nice. It takes a long time to charge the Switch right now.
And I've talked about this rumor for the Switch Mini, but I do want the Switch Mini to basically be like a new 3DS in terms of size, and it closes in and out, and it can even fit in the dock just closed, and, you know... I like the clamshell-like design because you could fit a larger screen space in your pocket because it closes like that and have the buttons on the bottom side.
Fit in the dock closed? How would that work?
Think about it. Damn it.
It doesn't seem like you could not fit in the current dock. You could not fit a 3DS or anything.
I feel like that wouldn't be possible in the current dock. Maybe if they had a separate dock, it's different.
I don't know. I'm a bit optimistic. It would have to be really slim though.
How thin do you think it's gonna be?
I don't know. Anything's possible.
I feel like it'd have to be an iPhone to do that.
I don't expect the Switch Mini to be as powerful. Okay, maybe that's a bit up too optimistic. We'll see what happens. But if it happens, you heard it here first. You know.
See, you would what you would have to get would be like it would have to be like this, you know, it would have to be open. It would have to be half as thick as the Switch is currently, because then when it folds,
The top screen could be a lot thinner, but I mean
that would literally be like thinner than my phone on both sides.
You know, just closes, fits in the dock. You're right. I mean, you're right. I mean, the thickness would definitely be in question. I see that. I'm looking at it. I see that. I also don't think it's impossible, but we'll see.
I don't think it's out of the question that they could come out with a dock that is like, you know, like the Wii U gamepad dock, like that size, and you just put it in there.
Yep.
But it's like, it's much cheaper, or maybe even comes with it, because it's just small. And it probably would only have just the power and HDMI. I don't think it'd have like 3 USBs and
but maybe it could have its built-in USB or 2.
I think it's just, I wonder if they wanted to make a mini dock, if they'd want to make it cheaper, just because I feel like the people who buy a mini aren't gonna be the same who really care about all the different accessories and things.
True.
I guess the clamshell design would make it hard for it to fit in the dock, but for some reason, I just think it's possible. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, you know, just to back up my claim, which is not even a claim, it's just more like a hope rather than a prediction. But the Wall Street Journal report did say that it was not going to quite look how we are expecting it to look, right? Like, it's not just going to be like it's going to be a little different. A little different would be clamshell design, from what we expect at least, and that would follow the 3DS line of family. What'd you say?
Could be.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, I think we're ready to get into the Best Buy leaks, unless there's anything else you guys want to kind of shoot out there about Switch Mini, Switch Pro. Because, you know, theoretically, as the main topic for this discussion is the April Nintendo Direct rumor, which, spoiler alert, the rumor is that it's going to be this Thursday. So, we'll get into that in a bit. But with that, there's a possibility we could see a reveal for one of these revisions, or maybe both, because supposedly they could be out as soon as summer, so announcing them in April might be a right time potentially, so they might be in there.
Wow, yeah, true.
I'm not expecting it, but I'm just saying, you know, if you want to get any predictions out there now before it happens, it's your chance.
Yeah, they do. They were very, I suppose, unconventional with the Switch, with their whole marketing cycle, because I recall that, you know, it was announced. I remember it was announced on October 20th because it was announced the day after my birthday. Like they literally said on Twitter, on my birthday, they said, "Hey, we're gonna be announcing the NX, or like look out for details about the NX tomorrow or whatever." And then tomorrow was the 20th. But anyway, and then it came out in March, so that was just what, like 5 months?
Yeah, that was really
quick. Not even, like less than 5 months.
That was so fast for like a whole console. I'm trying to remember when the new 2DS was announced. It came out pretty soon after.
I know the new 3DS was announced around the same, and released around the same time frame as the Switch, actually. It was
really?
like November, December when it was announced.
But that's
like,
a revision. That's not an entirely new console.
I mean, it's more, yeah, but it's different because this is also like a home console, so it's definitely the first home console to be that close. I think if any of them aren't going to be announced at E3, I think it would be the Switch Mini. I also think that's the one that's going to come out first. So I think if any are announced in this direct, I think it would be the Mini, and then the Pro will be at E3, because I think that won't come at the... I think that would be a holiday release, to be honest.
Yeah, I would honestly think it would be holiday.
Okay, crazy idea. This is just me being a fanboy. Me being a fanboy, okay? But I'm sure some of you already know that I love Samus so much. And I was so excited when I saw the retail listing for Metro Prime Trilogy. This would be a great segue, but I want to get into the chat, so we're not going to segue perfectly. But if Metro Prime Trilogy HD is announced in the Direct, maybe even this week, what if they do reveal a revision? And while I do agree with you, Brandon, that a Switch Mini earlier makes sense, I agree with that. I might have even... I almost predicted it in my predictions video, but I forgot. But, what if they show off this Switch Pro and they announced Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, and they're like, oh, play Metroid Prime Trilogy HD in 4K. 4K upscaling. 4K upscaling. What is Switch Pro can 4K upscale? Which is not, like, it's not PS4 Pro at all. Like, 4K upscaling is way less than native 4K, but what if that's one of the big draws of the of the Switch Pro, right? That you can 4K upscale when docked. Like, it's me being a fanboy, like I said. I don't know if it's realistic, but it's me being a fanboy.
I don't think so, but it would be awesome.
Hey, it would make for $400. You know, $400 is a hefty price tag, right? So, you know, I'm just saying they gotta think of something to make it worthwhile for people. But we'll see what happens. So before we get into the next topic, let me get to the chat because I see a lot of people are here. A few things I'm not sure I'll be able to keep up with everything said, but hello there, Blizmo81, Vilbeard. You're saying we need a Nintendo that works directly on assembly again. I don't understand that.
I think he's talking about like making a custom thing. I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe. Sabbath. So with the Switch Pro, do you think we'll see a new version of the Pro controller? I hope so, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Headphone jack, please.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, theoretically, they could create an adapter that plugs into the charging port part of the Switch Pro, and that's where you can have a headphone jack. Maybe they could do that. I think it's possible to have a little dongle that adapts that. Robier, Switch Pro will be like a Switch, but with better quality, better CPU, more frames, etc., and way more expensive, that's for sure. If it's way more expensive, I want my 4K upscaler, but, you know. 77-3R. Prime is a better visual design than most games released today. I agree, man. I still play that game a lot. I go back and play it a lot. I spent I've been playing it on Dolphin recently, and it looks great. It really has aged gracefully. Even though it's going for more of a realistic art style, it's still aged pretty darn well. Paint Fat Purple. Reggie's dropping Mother 3. You know it. You know it, man. That is a soft prediction I made. It's kind of like a 50-50. I'm just saying that if there is a Mother 3 localization or Mother 3 anything, remake, reimagining, whatever you want to call it, something Mother related, I think if it's gonna happen anytime soon, I think it would be around the time that Reggie has his send off. But we'll get into that in a bit. Science Joe, hello. James Clark, what's up, man? James Clark, he has his own YouTube channel, by the way. I met him on Kazoo's podcast last week. Yeah. James Clark saying SoC equals system on a chip. Well, I didn't know that.
Yep, that is what that stands for.
Paint Fat Purple saying Mother 3 remastered and heavily edited. That might, like, I don't know if I brought it up last week, but that might be the case because the speculation of why Mother 3 hasn't been localized yet is because there's some aspects to the story that might be considered controversial today. There may need to be some changes in order for it to be localized in the States for Nintendo to feel comfortable localizing it, right? Like, they wanted to, but when they looked at the story, like, hey, there's these different things, and considering the way culture is today, might not be a good look for us. So, you know, that may have been why it wasn't localized yet. So that's why I've been kind of thinking that there may need to be some sort of modification for it, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Mastermind, what's up? Oof, at work. Oh no. Oh really? Oh, so Vibra's saying some games on Switch allow that as well. Minecraft lets you choose between more frames per second or more render distance, for example. Interesting. Actually, yeah, I haven't noticed frame rate yet, but like for example in Turok, I was surprised to see that you could actually like change some of the graphical settings, like add like blurring and draw distance, and like the perspective of your actual camera can change in terms of how much the field of view. Like all those different settings aren't things I'm used to seeing in console games. I know those are kind of things you get more from PC games, and I understand Turok is based off the PC version. But yeah, I guess there are some things like that, and I guess now as we progress further and further into the future, right, the line between what a PC game and a console game is kind of blurring a little bit more. It's been blurring for years. I guess that option of seeing more graphical settings in games on console games is going to become more and more prevalent. I mean, we're seeing it a lot on PS4 Pro and Xbox One with the whole checkerboard thing. So, you know, it makes sense. So I guess, yeah, my question of if a frame rate would be an issue probably won't be. But let's. Oh, I got another @ here. Let me see. Roby's saying, I don't want to alert you, but I'm beginning to believe in Metroid Prime Trilogy for Switch. I know, me too. I'm believing it. I'm believing. Once I saw that listing, I was like, no, it has to happen. Are you
well,
mad?
I mean,
Well,
Spawnwave says it, so it's gospel. It's gospel.
yeah. There's a lot of different insiders who have come out with it. Even Imran Khan, who's the editor-in-chief at Game Informer, right? Direct Feed Games, Spawnwave. We've heard it from several different people. So, you know, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, Control Alt Dan, I thought it was a really cool little feature to be able to turn off motion blur. So, and can you do that in the... It's something I like messing with on Doom on PC. It's cool. But let's get into the whole Best Buy thing. So, for all of you who didn't hear, last week I stopped being depressed because I got more hope for Metroid Prime Trilogy HD because it was in a retail listing on Best Buy's website. And that also included Persona 5 and A Link to the Past. And no, I have no idea what A Link to the Past would be, because here's the thing about A Link to the Past. I have an idea, but I'm just kind of joking. But it is weird, because A Link to the Past is an old Super Nintendo game. It's been released on Virtual Console before, but that's just digital downloads, an eShop kind of game. The idea of it being on a retail listing means it's coming out for retail, physically, something you can tangibly grab in a store, which has led some people to believe that it's more than just a Virtual Console release. But considering that Link's Awakening is coming out this year, Cadence of Hyrule is coming out this year, I find it hard to believe that there would be another Link to the Past remake. Maybe it's just a virtual eShop card or something that you can... Not virtual, a card you can buy, like a download code for Link to the Past. Maybe there's going to be some sort of Super Nintendo...
Like Wolfenstein!
kind of like Wolfenstein. Right. Yeah, so, you know, that may be what it is. But basically, yeah, there was a retail listing for Persona 5, A Link to the Past, and Metroid Prime Trilogy. Some people don't think it's necessarily meaning much. I do think it is, especially because they also took them down, which isn't entirely incriminating, but I think it builds the case even more so. And apparently there's a history of this, and usually when these listings show up, they show up a week or two before there's going to be an announcement.
Yes.
And we do have a lot of information suggesting there'll be a Nintendo Direct a week or so, you know, after Best Buy leak happened last week. If there's a Direct this week, that would all line up, even if it's the week after, right? So it seems to be all kind of coming together to me. So I am pretty confident this Best Buy leak. I'm not like 100%, like I said last week, like 75% on Kazoo's podcast.
Yeah.
Considering there's actually more rumors coming up for the Nintendo Direct even this week, I'm gonna bump that up to like the 80s in terms of me thinking that those listings are actually about real games. Where do you guys stand?
I'm just saying, I would not be surprised if tomorrow morning I wake up, there's a date for a Direct, the Direct comes, and all those games are shown. So I'm pretty confident.
We have a tendency of doing this podcast and calling it a Direct predictions before it's even been announced, and then the day after, there it is. Like, half the time we do Direct predictions, the Direct is announced the day after. Like, we're usually pretty good about that, I feel, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon. I think we usually do that, right?
Not every time, but it's been a couple of times, yeah.
I'm saying half. Think I'm close there, or am I off?
I'd have to check, but I feel like that's about right.
Okay. I'm gonna stop flexing though. What do you think, Kazoo? How do you feel about these retail listings from Best Buy?
Oh yeah, I mean, Persona 5S, like obviously, it could be, you know, it's an S, so it could be a Switch. It could stand for Switch, and
yeah,
with all of the the website that they have up for it, does check back on the 25th or whatever, which is also is kind of strange. Like, it doesn't say, like I'm trying to figure that part out because I don't know, for some reason I've become like interested lately in Persona. Like I know I can already tell you right now, like I could never handle playing that. But
There's an anime for it, I think.
what?
I think there's an anime.
Oh, that's true. They do. Yeah. Yeah, they do. You're right on that one. And then, but yeah, it does. And obviously, we have Joker coming out for Smash. So all of that, I feel like, just kind of makes that pretty credible. And like, I think there have been credible sources, you know, who have said that Persona 5 is coming to the Switch, and even like before.
Right. I mean, the moment Joker was a thing, you know, for Smash, everyone was like, "Yep, that's happening." Makes sense, because why would you? It just doesn't. It wouldn't make sense for Nintendo if they just get everyone to buy Persona 5 PS4. Like, if it wasn't $60, I would have bought Persona 5 on PS4 already, since Joker was revealed. I think there has to be some sort of game for that. It just kind of makes sense, regardless of the listing, regardless of the rumors. It just kind of makes sense. So, you know, yeah, I do feel like half the rumors just came out just because of that, though, right? Like, I think people are like, "Oh, let's create this rumor because Joker was announced for Smash." Like, it only makes sense. Like, I do think a lot of times when rumors come out, they're really just predictions masqueraded as rumors, right? That's a thing for sure. Like, you go to 4chan or Reddit. A lot of those are just predictions masqueraded as rumors, but you know, I agree with it. And another interesting thing, Dragon Quest 11S for Switch is 11S, right? So Persona 5S, I could see that.
Exactly. Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I fully believe this. But let's talk about Link to the Past for a little bit though. Do you think that is anything? One, is it real? Right, because it's possible that Persona 5 and Metroid are real, but maybe Link to the Past is just a weird error, right? Although it's not to be confused with the Link's Awakening, because they have a separate listing for Link's Awakening, right? Yes. So there's not that mistake there. But is this just like a download code kind of card thing, or is this some sort of other game? Like, what do you guys think it is?
Well, now the other question is, could this be some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of thing for like Super Nintendo games on Switch Online? Although I don't know then why it would be at Best Buy.
It's weird, right? Because here's the thing. Like, I would love to predict, hey, they're gonna finally announce Super Nintendo games for the Nintendo Online app or Virtual Console or something, but that would be a digital thing, not a retail thing. So it's hard for me to say.
Or is it like they're gonna start selling like standalone SNES games, and like the NES Online app is only gonna be for NES games?
Yeah, if Nintendo thinks they can get away with selling individual Super Nintendo games through the eShop, I think they will, right? There's some people speculating that they're just gonna drop a Link to the Past for free. Because it's Reggie's favorite game.
Is it Reggie's favorite game?
That's what some people are saying. I don't know if that's true. Just what I've heard on Twitter. I don't think it's like a trending topic. I think it's just like a small section of people who think that. I don't agree. I think A Link to the Past will probably be sold for money by Nintendo, not released for free.
Yeah, they're not dropping it for free. Come on.
Nah.
Come on.
Yeah, so I think it has to be some sort of, maybe what they're going to do is just sell individual Super Nintendo games on the eShop, and that's just, like Link to the Past listing is just a download code card. Right, and that's just the one that slipped through the cracks. Or it's an error. Those are my two guesses. An error or a download card, because they're now going to be start selling Super Nintendo games on the eShop.
I really hope that they're not just going to start selling them. Unless maybe we get them free if we have the online, but they sell them to people who don't have it. I don't know. Maybe I'd be fine with that.
Maybe.
But
that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would. I saw an article. Now, I should have read it through, but I didn't have time. But somebody who works with the company that works with Nintendo is saying that they're going to stop putting NES games on the online service sometime, but we're not sure exactly when.
The way they're gonna stop putting NES games.
NES games
Like
on the online
they'll stop updating they'll just whatever's on there. That's just what it'll be.
That is what they're claiming. Now I don't know if they're gonna be putting, you know, SNES games instead. So that's all the NES games we're gonna get.
That would be my question.
Yeah, that's what I would hope. Is they're like, okay, we're moving on to SNES games now, instead of just like, okay, well, screw you. It's like you don't get anything for your online service anymore. It's like, what?
And they were good at going in such a great direction with Tetris 99. I think I would like to believe that if they are ending the addition of NES games, it's just because they're going to now start focusing on Super Nintendo games.
Right.
But the retail listing for Link to the Past just goes against that. But again, it could just be an error. We don't know. There's so many different things it could be, right? I wouldn't put too much stock in it until we see what it is.
It'd be interesting is if they started selling them in the stores, and that is something like memberships for the online service, and that's just it's an error because it's just a promotion for it, like it's like includes Link to the Past,
maybe,
and now or something like that.
Yeah, that could be that could maybe be the case. Good point. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know for sure. But
yeah, it's really hard to know.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out Thursday. Maybe. So, you know, I don't really have much to say on Persona 5 other than okay, I think it's happening. The 25th could be the case. It could be announced sooner. Because I think the 24th to 25th, some sort of like live concert sort of thing, and there is we do know we're gonna find out more about Persona 5 the Royal around the 25th, right?
Yeah.
It does line up. But Persona 5 The Royal could legitimately just be a PlayStation game, and then I guess what did the listing say exactly? It said Persona 5S? Is that what it said?
Yeah, I think the website says Persona 5S, yeah.
Okay, so if it has the S, you know, I do think that it implied an exclusive Switch version, which could have different features.
Yeah, I would think so.
So it may not even need to be on the 25th. It could be something that's in a direct, maybe. I have a hard time believing that Smash will not be mentioned, right? Because the 3.0 update is supposed to happen this month. Joker's supposed to be happening this month.
Oh yeah, Joker's. I think Joker at the direct, the potential direct. I think he's gonna be a shadow drop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard that. And I saw this from Papagenos, but supposedly because there's like these amiibos with this. I don't even know that much about it, but like. Because of the amiibos, they like work with a certain update that it would have to happen after the 12th. That was the speculation, but some people have sort of poked some holes in that argument. Maybe I'm not entirely sure. So some people believe that maybe it could come on the 12th or something. I'm not sure. I think we're gonna know tomorrow. Like if tomorrow, I guess technically they can announce a direct on a Wednesday, right? They've actually been doing that more lately, where they announce a direct, you know. Just a day in advance instead of 2 days in advance. So if nothing happens tomorrow, it could still be a Wednesday that they announce it, and it could still happen on Thursday. But let me just turn this into a Metro Prime discussion, because yes. So like because Metro Prime Trilogy has a shot at being announced as a direct, what are you guys expecting from that? Like, do you think it's a big deal? Do you think it's a little deal? Do you think it's going to be announced at all? And if so, when's it coming out? Where do you guys stand on that?
I think it would be just as big a deal as any of their other HD remakes like Twilight Princess or Wind Waker. I think with the same scale. Just gonna be just like those, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for me for sure, because I've never played any Metroid before ever, so you're
gonna be so lucky because you're gonna get this game that's gonna be probably $60, but it's actually gonna be 3 games.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome. If they do give it like the Wind Waker treatment, where they just do some quality of life changes, make it prettier, and just change around the controls, that'll be fine with that. That's all I want, honestly. Now, but here's the interesting thing to me is not so much that they'll improve the graphics. I think they'll improve the graphics. Nothing like super dramatic, but you know they'll probably just clean up the textures, put it in HD, 1080p, 60 FPS, which would be great, and maybe improve the lighting engine. But like in terms of quality of life changes, because I know you didn't play the Metroid games, but is there anything that comes to mind that you guys think they could do that would make the games easier to play or more fun to play for people? Like in Wind Waker HD, they added the fast sale, right? And they shortened the Triforce quest at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, I don't know what happens in Metroid Prime 1 through 3, so I wouldn't know. Like, I literally know nothing about it. So
Metroid Prime 3 is the easiest to beat because the navigation system is just kind of it's pretty straightforward, I think. Metroid Prime 2 is the hardest. Supposedly in the trilogy they made it a little bit easier, but it's still pretty hard. And then Metroid Prime 1 is like the happy... I don't even know if it's a happy middle ground, because while I enjoy it and it's good for me, so many people I've spoken to have played Metroid Prime but haven't beaten it. So I don't think they should make it easier, but maybe they can mess around with the map system a little bit. I do think the map system in Metroid Prime could be adjusted a little bit. It is a little confusing, so they can maybe mess with that a little bit. Maybe they give more options in terms of the hint system, because some people... Maybe there's a way to always get the hint system. Like maybe there's something you could like sometimes when you go back and play Metroid Prime, you don't know where you are. You kind of like waiting for the hint system to sort of guide you. Maybe there's a way to instantly access that hint system, right? We're like, hey, I need help. Tell me where to go, right? And maybe you actually have to manually go and ask for it rather than the game just automatically doing it, every few minutes. Like maybe that's something they could do where it gives people options. You could turn it off entirely, or you can just access it immediately, and then they could have it just the normal form where it just comes every few minutes.
Yeah, I think a big thing that would be helpful would be to have Zelda Breath of the Wild style pins that you could put down on the map so you can tell where you're. I feel like that was my biggest problem playing Metroid is I couldn't. The map is so. Everything looks the same on the map. You don't actually see what anything looks like. You just see this is a box. This is a room. You can kind of tell how big it is in the shape, but that's it. It's like I don't remember what it is, and I'll walk through something and I'll have no idea if that was which way I came or anything. So if I find something like, oh, this is a point of interest, I need to remember that for later. I don't want to go searching the whole map. Just, every time I get a power just to see if I forgot anything. So putting down a marker for things of interest would be so helpful.
That's an interesting point, because in Metroid Prime, there are a lot of things you see, like, oh, I can't do that yet. Like, you see a power, like, oh, I wish I could go there. And if you could just mark it on your map, it's like, okay, I know that I want to come back here. That's a really good point, Brandon. Using that marking system that we saw in the Breath of the Wild map would be a great way to make, moving around the game a lot better. So that's a fantastic... I think we're coming up with some good points here. Adjusting the hint system, having markers on the map, cleaning up the map a little bit more, obviously offering dual controls, cleaning up the the game's graphics a little bit. Like, all those little things I think could be great. And I'm liking where we're going here.
I do wonder if 2 and only 2 will have an assist mode or an easy mode, just because that game is like really hard. Like, even Metroid veterans find it a hard time, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are just like, well, I can't even beat this game. So I wonder if there'll be an assist option, because I feel like that's like, I understand there's a lot of controversy with like Sekiro and stuff, but I feel like this is different. I feel like this is more. It's not a game built around being ridiculously hard. It just happens to be hard.
The game in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes was made a little bit easier to play through in Metroid Prime Trilogy. Now, I cannot tell you how they made it easier. I don't know. I should probably figure that out, though. But maybe... Here's the thing. One thing, I still haven't finished Metroid Prime 2. I was streaming it a few months ago. I never finished it. Although I got the closest I've ever gotten. I remember I was starting to get to a point where I'm like, okay, there's all these keys I need to collect, and I don't know where to go find them. In Metroid Prime 1, there is an ancient... The impact crater. You could go to the Chozo, like, little totem poles, and they kind of give you an idea of where to go. I don't know if that's in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I did not discover it, so I don't know if it's there or not. It may be there and I just don't know. Maybe they could simply offer a more obvious hint system to finding the keys. But even then, I'll say that what's held me back from finishing Metroid Prime 2 has never been the keys. It's been just progressing through the game. So I don't know, man. Maybe just having an easier to navigate map system is really all they need to do to make it a little easier. Another option is just to offer a Funky Kong mode.
There you go.
With actually Funky Kong.
That would probably be good for me, to be honest, because I
have an idea. What if you can get a helper Metroid, right? So most Metroids and all Metroids in Metroid Prime, the entire trilogy, are gonna hurt you. But in some Metroid games in the past, there was one that was actually helping, like in Super Metroid. It actually helps you. You meet in a Metroid Prime, and not Metroid, in Metroid 2, and then Super Metroid helps you out. So what if there's a Metroid like that's a helper Metroid, and that could be kind of like the assist mode that you guys are kind of talking about?
Purely optional.
That would be cool.
What?
Yeah.
It could maybe just kind of like highlight like things of interest, like it can hover around them, and if there's an enemy, it could help you fight it, and that's what it would do. Maybe distract some fire.
Yeah.
That's something they could do.
That would be an interesting idea. Yeah, I know there are people. It's almost become like a controversial topic for like.
Well, I would not like it as a default mode, but maybe when you start the game, they like prompt you. Would you like a helper Metroid? Right? Like.
Yes.
Like, so, you know, as long as like they don't ruin the traditional gameplay of it, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, as long as they don't force it on you.
So
yeah,
that's fine with me.
I think that games should have an easy mode, and like hard games should have an easy mode, and easy games should have hard mode, because like that's at the end of the day is kind of what it's all about, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
my opinion might seem a little different, because when I look at games like Dark Souls, like those games are designed to kill you. Like dying is a part of the experience, right?
True. So that's true.
So my problem when people are now, I haven't played Sekiro yet, and I've heard it is a little bit harder. So maybe the argument's a little different for Sekiro, but when it comes to the Dark Souls games, if someone's requesting an easier difficulty, there are already like mechanics in the game to make it a little bit easier. Like you can summon souls to help you, although you have to use a humanity to do it. But you know, my point is that simply those games are designed. You're meant to die. That's part of the experience. So if they create a mode where you don't die, it might go against it could go against the vision of the game, and it's not really a good game anymore if you just allow for a steam through mode, because you're supposed to die. So I think, you know, it depends on the game. I think the developers themselves, the creators, would have to decide if it's worth it. You know, so and there could be a way to still make it easier without taking away from dying, right? Like maybe you still die, but you know, there's aspects that they can do to make like, hey, you died, and maybe they could offer like, I don't know, an item or something to make it easier the next time or something like that.
Yeah, you died like 5 times or whatever, and then.
Yeah, maybe they could do that, I guess. But it would also be an optional thing. And I mentioned in the podcast last time. Oh, no, I don't know if I'm not sure if I mentioned it in your podcast, but I mentioned at some point that I don't like it. Like for example, in the Galaxy games and in Donkey Kong games, the recent ones. When you die a lot, be like, hey, you suck.
Cosmic Rosalina.
Yeah, you suck. That's what I read.
I hear you
suck.
I hear you.
Do you need help? I always say, no, I don't need help. Screw you. But it is actually, I do actually find it insulting. Like, you know, it's kind of funny to laugh at myself about it, but,
I hear you on that one.
I think it should be something that should be prompted at the beginning of the game, would you like this? And you just say no if you're not the kind that wants that help, right? And then they could say, hey, just if whatever you ever need help, just go to the options, you can turn it back on. Aside from that, you know, I don't have a problem with having an assist mode. It just has to be done in a way where it's not insulting or taking away from the design of the game. So, you know, that's how I feel about it.
That is true. Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, I mean, I'm okay. I'm completely okay with having an assist Metroid as long, you know, it's just, you know, something that's decided in the options as getting this game started, and it doesn't actually take away from the experience. So, there's actually one more thing I want to bring up though about Metroid Prime though. So like we've talked about like quality of life changes, you know, HD visuals, dual analog controls along with the other traditional controls. But what if like, what are they gonna do for people who've already played through the games? Are they just gonna expect players who've just enjoyed the series, who have played through each one every time, to just do it again with just better visuals, right, and map additions? Like, or are they gonna actually add something content-wise to the games to make it a little bit more interesting, something to mix it up a little bit? What do you guys think about that?
Well, they've in the past, I think they've added like little things here and there, like they added the tingle bottles to
I
Wind
thought that was
Waker
so
HD.
cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
I thought it was cool, but I did want. I'm spoiled. I was like, oh, I want the other two like canned dungeons that they had planned before they released Wind Waker so many years ago. Like, that's what I wanted. Right? They didn't.
That would have been really cool.
It would have been really cool. They didn't do that though. They cared more about the pacing of the game. And I think it was a smart decision because the pacing of the game was a lot better than Wind Waker HD.
Yeah.
But for Twilight Princess HD, which does not have good pacing, there was nothing they could do about that.
They just
really couldn't. Even though
You
they
didn't
tried.
think it had good pacing? I thought it was fine.
How many times have you played through the game?
Once.
There's your answer.
Okay.
If you try playing through it again, and then tell me if you feel the same way. Because I cried several times playing Twilight Princess the first time, just for the record, right? This is like my game of games. Like, when I was waiting for Twilight Princess to come out, at one point I had an argument with my stepmom saying, look, if there's only one more game I could ever have, this is the one. Like, I said that, but that's how much I wanted Twilight Princess, and I enjoyed so much I cried several times. So don't get me wrong, I love Twilight Princess.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But the pacing of it is a little troublesome. After that initial allure of not knowing what's going to happen next of the story, just experiencing a new Zelda game, the pacing isn't that great. Like, it just isn't. It kind of takes really long to get to certain interesting parts of the game. So, that's just what it is.
Honestly,
Yeah. Okay.
this doesn't have anything to do with the actual topic, but I was having the same issue with Breath of the Wild the other day when I was doing Master Mode. There's just really long cutscenes at the beginning, and you can't skip them. And most of the cutscenes in the game you can skip, but for some reason the opening cutscene, it's like 10 minutes of cutscene, and I'm just mashing literally every button, and you can't skip it.
Oh, okay, yeah, you know what? Actually, same thing with me. I've been doing my Master Mode playthrough, and like I don't know. I guess since I'm streaming it, like, I don't want to skip the cutscenes, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I already know that this happens.
I mean, Breath of the Wild, is completely different Twilight Princess, but I agree with you. When I started Master Mode recently, there was also a couple cutscenes that I was like, okay, I've seen this multiple times already, actually. Like, can I just skip it? And I couldn't. So, even with Breath of the Wild, which I think has still maybe the best beginning to a video game, because it kind of just puts you into the Great Plateau, and it's kind of like so open already, and then it opens up even more. Like, I think Breath of the Wild, arguably, I don't even think it's that arguable. I think it's pretty much fact. Of course, it is technically opinion still, but I'm just saying Breath of the Wild kind of has, like, the best beginning for a Zelda game.
It's like the best tutorial.
Yeah, it really is. I love it for that. But even with that, right, when you go, sometimes the cutscenes can be a little like, okay, I've seen this before. Yeah. It should be automatically skippable. But I also understand sometimes, like, you don't want to accidentally skip a cutscene. But the way they do is, like, when you press buttons, like, if you're pressing buttons, it doesn't automatically skip it. It then asks you, hey, do you want to skip this? Like, there are some games that offer that. Even Breath of the Wild does it. Like, it doesn't skip it immediately, but if you're pressing buttons, I think it offers, like, I forget, is minus or plus to skip it afterwards.
Yeah, plus. But yeah. It was just weird because, like, every other cutscene that I've come across, you can skip, but the opening one, you can't. And it's just like I'm watching Link, like, find the Sheikah slate, and I'm like, okay, like, great, I know how this works, game.
Yeah. I know that he wakes up and finds the Sheikah slate.
Yeah. So, going back to Twilight Princess, just, the pacing, they couldn't do too much about the pacing for Twilight Princess, but they did do some things, and they added another, like, challenge, like, they had, like, another, like, challenge dungeon where you just fight hordes and hordes of enemies, which they already had in the game.
Yeah, it's so like the shoot, like it was like in Wind Waker, like in the they had like the floors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The different floors you could go through.
The problem with that is that Twilight Princess already had one, so they added another. Except you do it with the wolf.
And I like the one in Wind Waker better.
You like the what better?
The one in Wind Waker is way better.
It's really cool. Yeah, I really enjoy that one too. I do like seeing the fairy though, because you never see a fairy like that in Twilight Princess. You see it the one time, which is a really cool moment when you finally find her. They don't do much with her though, but it's just kind of cool to see her. But they did technically add a dungeon-ish kind of thing in Twilight Princess, but it wasn't really too much new. It was just kind of more like repetition. I would like to see an actual new content, but I know, considering what Nintendo does with their remakes, that's just not gonna happen. That's just, even.
I also gotta consider they're remaking 3 games this time.
Right, it's a lot of work.
Oh, true.
It's a lot of work. One thing I've thought about, and I think I brought it up before, is that what if what they did is they bring back the Kraid fight, but maybe what they could do is that the Kraid fight is in each of the 3 different games, or it's like something similar to Kraid, each of the 3 different games with a minor variation, and when you beat the Kraid, you get a power-up, and the power-up's basically the same across all 3 games. It's just basically a melee attack, but maybe the melee attack's slightly different in each of the 3 games, and the Kraid fight is slightly different in each of the 3 games, and that could be something to kind of add a little bit more content without really developing that much more. It would just be basically adding one boss fight with 3 different variations. That's just an idea I have that they could maybe do, right? Because technically in Metroid Prime 1, Magmoor Caverns doesn't have a boss. Like, you're like, what is this place? Like, you think that all the other areas of Metroid Prime have a boss, and so you're kind of led to believe that there's going to be at least one giant major boss per area, and there isn't. So I think Kraid would fit really well there, you know. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying if they were to do anything, like, I could see that would be a nice little addition that I think they could do. And the melee attack would be kind of something that would be a nod towards what they might be doing in Metroid Prime 4, you know. Kind of a cool little thing that I sort of has speculated on, but I don't expect at all, because that's just my personal speculation. There's no real credence to it.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, I guess I agree with you that there won't be any sort of additional new gameplay thing, especially because it is 3 games. But I still want it. You know? So, we'll see what happens.
I can't blame you for wanting that. Can't blame you.
Maybe one thing they could do is at least offer hyper mode available from the beginning instead of having to unlock it.
Yeah, I feel like all remakes should have every difficulty option available at the beginning, because you're assuming, I feel like, that people have played the game, like a lot of people who are buying it have played it before.
Right.
So
yeah,
exactly. That's true. Yeah.
And with the Zelda games, the remakes, they offer hero mode from the beginning, so you know, there's precedent for that already. So I think they could at least do that, offer hyper mode from the beginning. I would like something harder than hyper mode, but whatever. I beat Metroid Prime 1 in hyper mode. I 100%ed it, so I feel like now I can conquer anything. But I'll also admit that I still haven't beaten Metroid Prime 2 on Veteran, right? And I have not beaten Metroid Prime 3 on hyper mode either. That there was a boss I was stuck on that I could not beat. So hyper mode probably is fine. I always want more. So, you know. So yeah, I think that's possibly what it could be. We haven't really gone to the chat, so I'm gonna kind of check with them now unless there's anything else you guys want to kind of mention in reference to Metroid Prime Trilogy or the other Best Buy leaks.
No, I think we can get into the chat.
All right, so there's a few things that were said that I haven't gone to. I can't get to everything, but and by the way, guys, if there is something that you guys want us to address, adding me or any of us, right, so I can see like that little orange thing. It makes it quicker, easier for us to get to that one point.
Yeah. Yeah, that one specifically.
I see a lot of you guys are talking about you guys haven't actually played Metroid Prime, so hopefully, you know, this thing is for you guys to get a chance to play it, because it's an amazing series. And Brandon, with your idea to update the map and maybe they mess with the hint system, like, the game will be a lot more playable for a lot more people. Cannon's Gaming Channel, hello. I see. So, Roby, you're saying something, I think when I was talking about the keys earlier, you're saying that in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, you can scan some of the totems, they tell you hints where to go. Okay, I don't remember that. Looks like James Card left, so you probably won't even hear me talking about it, but if you do watch this, take care, man. I think that's actually. If you, by the way, guys, if you want to check out his channel, I know he streams Nintendo stuff too. If you just search James Clark, you can find him on YouTube. Literally, just James Clark, he'll come up. So check him out. Yeah, exactly. Control Alt Dan. Metro Prime Trilogy with new Funky Kong mode. It'll be the best meme ever. ×2.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Caleb 5 Stars Entertainment just said Funky Kong mode, but with Ridley. Oh, the ideas, the genius ideas that are coming out of this chat. Yeah, it'd be so cool to see. Oh, actually, yeah, the Prime 2 has multiplayer, so maybe they could do something with that. Control Alt Dan. Good point. Sancho saying it would be amazing if they included Metro Prime Hunters in the trilogy. Ooh. That game is going to look like trash. It's going to look like trash. Like, they would have to completely remake it for it to be comparable to the others. I don't think that'll happen, but maybe they could work with Metro Prime 2, add the Hunters in there, a couple more maps, and make that online multiplayer instead. That's something they could do.
Wow.
I don't know if they'll do it, but, you know, I'm just saying, like, instead of adding Metro Prime Hunters, I think they could just take Metro Prime 2, give it some aspects of the Hunters gameplay, and just update that a little bit and make it online.
Oh, wow.
I don't think that'll happen, but, you know.
I feel like, I don't know if it'll happen only because I feel like Nintendo is not...
They're very pure
quite
with their
up to
remakes.
snuff with their online. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another point. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's sad, but...
Control. Oh, actually, I see some other interesting ideas here. So, Joe's saying, how about a boss rush? Boss rush would be cool to see, actually. And they did that in the 3D remakes for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, right? At least Ocarina of Time had a boss rush mode. I don't know if Majora's Mask did.
They did? I didn't even know that.
Ocarina of Time definitely had a boss rush mode.
I had both of them and I never even knew.
Yeah.
Well.
Control didn't say, how about new modes in Prime, like a time attack that's in Zero Mission? Yeah, time attack, actually, would be really interesting to see. Yeah, that would be cool.
Now you see what happens is we get the Nintendo Land mini game. That's it. They port the Nintendo Land Metro game.
Instead of the Echoes multiplayer.
Yes.
That was actually kind of fun. So I don't know if I would hate it. It would be weird, but I wouldn't hate it.
As a joke, by the way, for anybody who did not understand.
No, super serious. I did like that minigame though.
Yeah, it was fun. I like the whole game. It was honestly one of the best Wii U games.
It's actually, it's like if I ever go back to my Wii U, Nintendo Land might be it. I kind of want there to be another Nintendo Land, by the way.
Right?
Oh, that would be so cool. And
that would be interesting, like Nintendo Land 2.
Based off the Joy-Cons.
Or they could do like, well, but Nintendo Land 2, they're already having that. It's called Super Nintendo World in real life.
It's the real life version. They've upgraded.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It took me a minute to realize what you were getting at, but yeah, the real life Nintendo Land. Oh, but man, Nintendo Land looks so cool though. Like playing the Zelda level, the Metroid level. It was really cool to see that. Why can't we just have both?
True.
No, we go to Super Nintendo World to play Super Nintendo Land. There you go.
Yes, then it'll be like meta. Like,
yeah.
It'll be Nintendo Landception.
There you go.
Playing Nintendo Land at Super Nintendo World. Oh my god. That'd be freaking awesome.
Oh man.
So, Control Alt Dan, he added me, said, what do you think about Metroid 5, the Fusion remake? So, Metroid Fusion is Metroid 5, right? If they remake Fusion, that'd be awesome. Is that rumored? I've heard, when I think about, I kind of would prefer there to be a new Metroid game, but I guess the Mercury Steam team could remake Metroid Fusion instead. They did a good job with Metroid 2, so I'd be okay with that.
Could be a quick way to get another 2D Metroid out, and I mean, not a lot of people bought it, so there's a big audience.
So let me make sure this is clear. There isn't actually a Metroid 5, right? Like Fusion is like pretty much the end at this point of the. It's like, is it? I have to go over my Metroid timeline stuff, but like at the end of Fusion, doesn't she like send the ship, like she blows it up, and that kind of puts her in bad standing with the Federation? Like, and that's kind of where things are left off. So you're suggesting that they have a Metroid 5, like a new Metroid game. I got confused because you said Fusion Remake. Unless I'm just completely off here with what you're saying. Oh, okay. So originally they wanted to remake Metroid Fusion instead of Metroid 2, so maybe now they're remaking Metroid Fusion. Maybe. Or maybe they're making Metroid 5, which, if I'm correct, it would be a new Metroid game. If I'm wrong, let me know, guys. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I do think the Mercury Steam team is working on something Metroid, though. That I feel like you can book it. Like, they're working on another Metroid game. I just don't know if it's a remake or if it's a new game, a 2D Metroid. So we'll see. But I think we're pretty much ready to move on. Oh, actually, wait, before we move on, I think Sanjo brought up a good point. People need to know who Silex is before Metroid Prime 4. So what if, you know, there is something to the multiplayer having some of the hunters? Maybe they could add in Silex some of the hunters. That'd be cool to see. All right, but now let's actually move on, though, because we still have a few things to talk about. Okay, so yeah, let's hone in on this April Direct rumor. So I forget who it is. It doesn't matter. There's a rumor Nintendo Direct coming on April 11th. There's actually several places that have been rumoring it. Actually, hold on. Brandon, you know who it is? Because you know who I'm talking about? There's a specific source that people are pointing to that is saying...
Oh, yeah, isn't it called, like, Gaming Intel or something?
Yes, Gaming Intel. There you go. Thank you. That's it, Gaming Intel. Yeah, Gaming Intel, they're reporting that there's going to be an April 11th Nintendo Direct, which... I don't think is like a crazy thing to call, because the information's kind of been there, like, even without like any rumors. If you just look at the history of Nintendo Directs, whenever there's a February Nintendo Direct, there's one in April. Like, there's usually like a 2-month interval, and there's usually two before E3.
Yeah.
So
or if there's January Direct, there's one in March.
Right, exactly. And
then there's E3, and then there's one in September.
Yep. That's pretty much it.
That's basically, yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we know that there's the 3.0 update coming out this month. We know that Joker's coming out this month, so that's kind of something that needs to be talked about. And then, you know, there's got to be something before E3, because there's a lot of Nintendo has announced a lot of games.
Yeah, exactly. Because they also have a lot of release dates and stuff that need to be gone over. Or release dates that need to be, you know, announced, and stuff like that they're not going to want to waste time at E3 talking about, because they have that one pre-recorded presentation at E3, and it's like half an hour, so they're not going to want to be like, oh, we have this coming out on this day, and like no, they're going to want to announce like new stuff, and then also they're gonna want to. I mean, if Super Mario Maker is coming out in June, they're not gonna announce the release date for it at E3 when it comes out in like a week.
Yeah, I think it probably is gonna have to be at least featured one more time, you know, before E3.
Yeah.
So either it gets its own Direct, and it could get a trailer during this Nintendo Direct and have its own Direct before it comes out, right? And it could also be a game that's on the... It's definitely gonna... Book it. Mario Maker 2 is gonna be on the show floor at E3. Like, I'm sure that's gonna come to...
There's gonna be a lot of Treehouse coverage of that game, I'm sure.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, there's games like that.
Right?
We still don't have a date for Luigi's Mansion 3. We still don't have a date for Link's Awakening. We still don't know anything about Animal Crossing. So, you know... All of these are options for the Nintendo Direct, so it just kind of makes sense for there to be a Nintendo Direct, right? I think we all kind of believe that. But I guess just to kind of get your perspective on this, do you guys believe the April 11th Nintendo Direct? Like, what's your confidence level in this rumor?
It's so hard to say because, like, I mean, you know, it could be the 11th, like, yeah, it could be the 11th, but it could also be the 18th. Like, I don't know any, like, evidence that it would be one way or the other for the 11th or the 18th, except for, I mean, I guess if you want to say this source, I guess, because I guess they haven't said there have been no like leaks for the 18th.
Yeah,
Right.
but Nintendo's also Nintendo, right? Like maybe they feel there have been times where I feel like the rumors were right, and then it's like, oh, so they think we're gonna have it on the 11th. Well, guess what?
At the very last minute, they'll like
Goes to YouTube, change the scheduled date 1 week later. Ha! We sure showed them. Now let's go have lunch at Subway. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you guys remember last year with the whole Chibi Robo craze, the flaming Chibi Robo.
Yes, I remember
That was
that.
insane.
Yeah,
I totally remember that.
That is a documented. That is documented actual moment on the internet where Nintendo, or at least the Nintendo's like PR social media team, were trolling us. They were literally trolling us.
That was some hardcore trolling.
It really was. And that Direct Mini actually was pretty good because I got Dark Souls announcement, which was awesome. Yeah, so I think there's a, Kazoo, I'm in agreement with you. 11th, 18th, those are kind of like the dates that have been hovering for me. I've also suggested that maybe Nintendo might do something weird because Reggie is technically leaving on the 15th, which would be a Monday, which would be a weird day to have a Nintendo Direct.
It would be a weird day to have a Direct.
They could do it on a Monday. They could because it's pre-recorded. They just drop the video whenever they want.
It's probably already done at this point.
It may very well be. So it makes sense. Another thing to point out, though, right? I like the 11th because here's the thing. Even though Reggie leaves on a Monday, you know what's before Monday? Sunday. You know what's before Sunday? Saturday. I don't know if they work on the weekends. I don't know that. I feel like the answer is no. I think at Nintendo, and if someone knows, let me know. But I feel like on Nintendo they kind of work throughout the week and not on the weekends. So
yeah, probably.
So if Reggie's last day is a Monday, like there's a weekend before that. So really his last week is this week. This is his last week, right? So I imagine
that's true.
So maybe having a Direct come out on the 11th, it's literally just there's the Friday after the Thursday, and then there's Monday, which would be his day where I guess he packs his bags and leaves, right? Which I'm sure he probably has already done most of that anyway, right? Like maybe he would even, I don't even know, like Monday for him is probably him just having cake with his staff members, like
probably.
It's probably not real work.
That's what I would think. That's what I would think.
So this is probably his last real week. So
yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't be shocked. I think it makes sense for his Direct, if he's going to be in a Direct, because that's all been an assumption. But I feel like it's not a crazy assumption, right? I think we're all on the same wavelength that Reggie is. There's a pretty good chance Reggie's going to show up in this Nintendo Direct, right? Like, do you guys?
Yeah. I would be surprised if he's not in it. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I might be surprised if he's not in it.
I'd be.
You'd think.
It's going to be something that I'm going to mention afterwards if it doesn't happen. And I am. It's not just going to be me. Like, I'm sure everyone who is a Nintendo YouTuber is like, oh man, I really thought Reggie would be there. Like, I think, the consensus is that we want to see Reggie in the Nintendo Direct. Right?
Yeah, I'm hoping he would. He hasn't been in Directs as of late. No. Just kind of like, where you been, Reggie?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't. So that would make it even more special if it's his last, the last Direct that happens while he's like working at Nintendo, and he's like appears in it.
There is one point I want to make though.
But,
you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just gonna say, but it's with like the Nintendo Directs. They all have the like the Japanese executives, like Koizumi and them. So that's Reggie might seem kind of out of place. I don't know. Not out of place because that doesn't sound good, but might be kind of weird to have him there. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing though is that Reggie, even though he doesn't show up in the Directs, he does show up at E3s, at the E3 Directs, right?
That's true, yeah.
If he doesn't, I feel like, you know, it's pretty likely he's not going to show up at this E3 because they have not recorded that yet. So you need to have one more stage presence. I think it just makes sense. I mean, it just makes sense for him to be at this direct. So I'm gonna say he's gonna be in it. I think you guys want it to happen too. So you know.
What if he was at E3 and it's like he's like on vacation on a beach somewhere and they're just recording?
That'd be hilarious. He's just like eating a popsicle stick on a beach. It's like, hey guys, I'm just playing Animal Crossing Switch. Which would be a reference because he did that for, I believe, New Leaf at one point, and yeah, well, it'd be pretty cool. To see
I think I said this on my podcast the other night. We get Reggie, right, and he's like, well, that's all the time I've got for today. I've got to get back to playing Animal Crossing on my Nintendo Switch, and then they show like a trailer for it, like gameplay trailer.
I think that's gonna happen. I think what's gonna happen is that Reggie's gonna come on stage like, hey guys, so remember Mother 3? Here it is. Hey, remember I said you're gonna see Metroid? Here it is. And then he's like, okay, thanks for watching guys. I'm just gonna go play Animal Crossing Switch. And then we're gonna get a quick glimpse of Animal Crossing Switch and it's gonna be like, goodbye Reggie, and then as for Animal Crossing, you'll see more at E3. So hardcore. I see that happening so much. Like that's like storybook right there. Like I think that's how they'll end the direct.
I want it.
Yeah.
So
that'll be a beautiful moment. What a way to go out if that happens. If the triple whammy, Mother 3, Metroid Prime Trilogy, and Animal Crossing gameplay reveal, like that would be crazy. Gosh. Oh, that'd be even crazier. Reggie, I just saw this one thing that Joe said. Reggie will announce himself for Smash. He's the second DLC character.
There you go.
I want it. Next DLC character.
Although I wouldn't actually be opposed if they just auto put Reggie as like a Mii costume option in Smash.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've had that Mii. They shown that Mii in directs before, right? Like if they just put that as an update, like, hey, if you want to play as Reggie.
Oh my gosh!
And it's just it wouldn't be a real character, just be the Mii costume, which I feel like pretty much everyone will be okay with that. Am I wrong?
I think I don't see why anyone would have a problem with that.
That would be so cool.
Amazing.
The only thing that would go against that, well, besides just not really being worth it for them, would be that Reggie's been kind of like considered a part of this trio between Miyamoto and the now resting in peace Iwata.
Iwata, yeah.
Like if you put in Reggie, and people are like, oh, why don't you just put in Miyamoto? And then if you put in Miyamoto, oh, why don't you just put Iwata? Well, Iwata, he's dead. So you know they might want to. I'm just saying, maybe they just don't want to even get into that territory of like celebrating real life people.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and then yeah, because I can see what you're saying. It's like I don't want to say a slippery slope, but I could see
just
where
territory
like
they might want to avoid.
If you put in one, then it's like you put in one, so like why do you not put in like every other Nintendo executive? Like who was the one from a really long time ago?
What do they put in Yamauchi and he's like a legit like mafioso just cutting down people? Like that'd be insane. That'd be insane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
I wonder if they'll put a tribute to him in something.
Who?
Like Iwata has a tribute. Well, I guess he's not dead, so it's not the same. But like Iwata has a tribute in Breath of the Wild. So it'd be interesting, just to have something cool in Smash for him.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. Like, I think there's gonna be something for Reggie. If he's like a Smash something, that'd be great. Like what if they just put like even if it's not Reggie, what if they just put like a Reginator like mask, right? Reginator would be a nod to the Reggie meme, which is based off the Terminator, where it's like he's like half cyborg. Like that'd be cool to see. Or even funnier if they put him with the afro from his high school picture. That'd be hilarious.
That would be funny.
It'd be really funny to see. I mean, do you guys remember when they showed? Was it Tamagotchi Life where they had both? They had several like Mii. They put their Miis in there in the actual like trailer and stuff. And even in the Wii U trailer, their Miis were in that too. So like the the big three Nintendo reps, right? Like their Miis have been featured in several trailers for games. So
yeah,
I don't know, but I mean that was also a different era, right? So we'll see. But let me where are we with the outline of things? I guess we can kind of continue our predictions. I do say Ray Cabana, or from the podcast Dojo, is in the chat. He's been on the podcast before, guys. What's up, bro?
Oh, has he?
Yeah. Nerdy Cabana, he's super cool.
Awesome.
He's one of the bros. But we'll get to chat in a little bit, though, because I do want to kind of, like, continue with this topic, though. But is there anything... You guys have any sort of predictions for this April Nintendo Direct that we haven't really talked about yet?
Oh.
Well, I'm really hoping about, Animal Crossing Switch gameplay, which I don't know if it's super likely because E3 is coming.
Yeah, and to that point, most of the gameplay reveals for Animal Crossing have been in E3. Like,
that's, yes.
So, you know, that's kind of like the one thing I'm like, oh, but, you know, if you look at history suggests that we have to wait a little longer, but they could still tease it, right, and still keep that in line. And another thing to take into consideration, they do like a gameplay reveal at this Direct. Keep in mind, that's one less surprise they could have at E3.
Yes, right? Yes, that is true.
So,
well, I don't know if it's really a surprise because I think we're all expecting it. I would say, because if Animal Crossing is releasing this year.
Well, when did we get to see we didn't get to see actual Smash gameplay until E3.
Yeah.
But it also was announced
in March, yeah.
In March. So the gap was just a 3-month window to wait from announcement to gameplay reveal. Animal Crossing was announced in last September, so...
Yes, that is a good point. So it's already been 3 months.
More than 3 months.
It's been like 7 months.
We're already half a year, yeah. So, yeah. You know, it'd be really crazy, and I don't believe this. My thinking is that Metro Prime Trilogy HD is going to be announced at the Direct, and it's going to come out in May. That's what I'm thinking, or hoping at least. But another thing that some people would like to see, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just going to say it, like, what if Animal Crossing comes out in May?
I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see that happening. Yeah, like I was telling you, telling everyone on my podcast, Animal Crossing is historically, all the Japan releases have been in, they've all been in the like winter, like late fall, early winter type releases. So those are the Japanese ones. So, and I'm assuming that because it's a worldwide release, it would be the same like time frame.
Yeah, I think like either October or December makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, either October, December, or maybe September. But I'm inclined to believe you though that because of the history of holiday releases, that it could be closer to that time as well.
Yeah. And then no, I'm sure November will be Pokemon because Pokemon.
Yeah, the last time it wasn't November was in 2013, 6 years ago. That was October. That's exactly why.
Oh. Yeah.
Since then, it's just been November. So, you know, probably still November. Probably. Although, so in 2017, we got Mario Odyssey in October and Pokemon... It was a different system, but Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon came out in November. And, but we also got Xenoblade in December, which was interesting. And then 2018, we got Let's Go in November, and then Smash Ultimate in December. 3-week difference. So this year, we know we're getting Pokemon Sword and Shield. We would imagine November.
Yes.
The other big game is Animal Crossing. Like, everything else is kind of like a tier below, right? Luigi, in terms of sales potential, Luigi, they're nothing besides Animal Crossing and Pokemon Let's Go. Pokemon Sword and Shield are going to be the best-selling Switch games this year. Like, that's...
What about Luigi's Mansion?
I don't think it's gonna...
It's still more niche. You think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll do a couple million, but it's not gonna do.
I may end up
definitely not
liking,
gonna-
just to be clear, I may end up liking Luigi's Mansion 3 more than those other games. Although Pokemon, I don't know, Pokemon's gonna be a big deal, but like, I'm just saying, Luigi's Mansion 3 could end up being a higher quality game, a better reviewed game, and maybe more of like a cult classic, stronger following with the people who own it. But I'll bet $1,000 that Pokemon Sword and Shield and Animal Crossing are gonna sell more than Luigi's Mansion 3. Like, the odds are just so against it. God, I hope it isn't a situation where Luigi's Mansion 3 becomes the next
well,
Fortnite.
Pokemon selling power.
Yeah.
Pokemon selling power is unreal.
Yeah.
Like, that will be the reason that so many people become converted from their 3DS over to the Switch.
Right.
Like,
Which, the Switch Mini is definitely going to come out. I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch Mini comes out. Whenever... So, do you think Animal Crossing December or October, if you had to just guess? Or if there's another month you're thinking?
I'm thinking December, personally.
What do you think, Kazoo?
For the Animal Crossing release?
Yeah.
I could see December. I could definitely see December. Although I don't know, I'm kind of thinking like maybe October, because well, my birthday's in October, so I want it to come out in October.
Right.
You get Luigi's Mansion 3 instead, though.
No, Mario Kart 8 Troll, I don't think Bayo 3 for this year.
No. The big problem with that is that Astral Chain's coming out this year in late August.
That's the Platinum Games release of the year. Although I know that Mario Kart 8 Troll is just trolling. Shout out to you, Nick. So I think I could actually see Animal Crossing coming out in October, because we don't know anything that's coming out in October, do we?
Nothing. So like, Link's Awakening doesn't have a date. Luigi's Mansion 3 doesn't have a date.
I could see Link's Awakening being December, to be honest. I mean.
Yeah. Just to address Mario Kart 8 Troll's point about Bayo 3, there are people who have made the argument that Bayo 3 could be this year. I believe Player Essence and Doctor 81 have made the points that maybe Bayonetta 3 could come out this year. I don't agree, but I do think it's possible. Just to go back to this, I remember when Astral Chain was announced after the February 13th Nintendo Direct. There was a podcast from the Nintendo Powered Podcast, and Bill Trin was on there, and some people were misquoting Bill Trinan, because I don't remember the exact wording, but basically people were taking a quote he said out of context, and they thought it was suggesting that Bayonetta 3 was going to be their big focus for this year, but he was actually talking about Platinum Games and Astral Chain, and then went on to talk about Bayonetta 3. So people are kind of picking, like, paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is such a dangerous thing, because you can just take quotes out of context, and it might sound like it means one thing, but if you don't see what they were talking about before and after, you don't actually know what they're talking about. So I actually watched the podcast, and he was talking about Astral Chain being a big focus for this year, not Bayonetta 3. So there was a bit of misinformation that was spread around that time. So just kind of putting that out there. I would love to see Bayonetta 3 this year, but I just don't even think there's space for it. Like, especially with Platinum Games already publishing Astral Chain already in the second half of the year, by the way, the end of August. So it's not like it's beginning of the year and then end of the year for another. So I find it highly unlikely that it's coming out this year at this point. And I originally was predicting it to come out this year. So, I took the L on that. So I'm biased. I wanted to be right, but I'm not. So I think at this point, Astral Chain makes the most sense. And we'll see Bayonetta 3 next year. Probably. So.
Next year or so.
Yeah. But, Kazoo, what were you getting at before? I don't know if you remember.
What were we talking about?
Things we think we could see. We were talking about, like, the dates of games. We don't know about Link's Awakening's date. Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh yeah, Link's Awakening. I could see that in December.
I could see Animal Crossing Link's Awakening in December. I kind of agree with you there. One or the other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my official prediction, I guess, is going to be Animal Crossing October, Pokemon November, obviously, and then Link's Awakening December.
So where do you put Luigi's Mansion?
Last quarter. And oh wait, yes, Luigi's Mansion would be in October too.
There is September though. September is an option.
Maybe. Well, yeah.
Another thing I want to point out: Nintendo is also publishing Dragon Quest XI's. So in terms of Nintendo published games, that's going to be in consideration as well. Another thing, it's going to happen. There are going to be at least 2 published games coming out from Nintendo multiple months this year, at least 2. So there may be a situation where maybe Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion come out in the same month. That isn't out of the question.
Yeah, or Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion 3, like maybe, because those might not be entirely the same audience, right? Or we see like one at the beginning of the month and one at the end of the month, like October 7th and then October 25th.
It's also possible that maybe Luigi's Mansion or actual chain. It's also possible that Luigi's Mansion or what's the other one, Link's Awakening, come out earlier than we expect.
Possible.
Like we're all assuming that they come out after August.
For both.
Yeah, but they could come out maybe early August, right? Astral Chain comes out at the end of August. So, and like I said, if you look at the numbers, there's already more games than months for this year, and Nintendo will announce more. If you look at the trends, they're probably going to be... The trends suggest that Nintendo will have about 20, give or take 1 or 2, published games on the Nintendo Switch this year. Right? Keep in mind, some of those games are going to be small games. Not everything's going to be a big AAA game. But I'm just saying, there are going to be months that are going to have at least 2 Nintendo published games. So maybe August will have more than just Astral Chain.
I wouldn't be surprised if Luigi's Mansion came out earlier than... some people are thinking, because we saw gameplay footage for that 7 months ago. That was a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like it looked pretty polished. It didn't I don't know. Obviously we didn't see a bunch of the game, so they could have been a lot work to do in the later parts, but it looked like a pretty finished game. So I feel like they could get that out in August or something like that.
Yeah,
early September.
I'm sure they could. I feel like they would want it to coincide with Halloween, though. I mean, maybe not, but...
I don't think the other Luigi's Mansions did.
Minus the remake last year, they don't really come out in October. Not that it doesn't make sense. It's just kind of that wasn't really...
The original came out in September, so we could see it, it came out early. It came out September 14th, so we could see it early September.
Yeah. Another thing to take into consideration is that if you look at old, previous years for Nintendo before the Switch era, they needed to space out their releases, right? So now it's different. They have a plethora of games. It's a luxury. So,
I guess you're right, yeah.
It's...
Yo!
Oh, got a super chat from my boy Ray, the Podcast Dojo. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. Actually, let's get to the chat, because there's a few things that are brought up. Just kind of sift through that for a little bit. Several points. Notice a couple new subscribers here. So, for example, Mark Troll subscribed. Oh, man. Oh, there's the alert right there on the stream. But, it's actually... There's too much chatting for me to keep up with it. So I'm just going to ignore you guys. JK. But, so let's see. Ethan Cantu, hello, man. I'm doing well. Brandon's doing terrible because it was great.
He's not wrong.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry, Brandon. And yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and Daemon X Machina are published but not developed by Nintendo, along with Dragon Quest XI's. So there are other Nintendo published games that are, also Astral Chain, right? Those are all published Nintendo games. And they're big deals. They're all kind of big deals. Although I feel like Daemon X Machina, I fear that one's going to be kind of like a, this wasn't that good and no one's going to pay attention to it kind of game. The demo did not make me feel really good about it. I hope that they adjust some things and it comes out strong when it releases, but I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about it right now.
I wasn't interested in that game, but then again, that's not really the type of game that usually interests me. So
I feel like the problem with the demo is that all the cool gear isn't barely available. You have to grind over and over again to get it. Because in the main game, there's a shop. You can get money and you can go buy items in the shop, and they make you faster and stronger and have really cool moves and stuff. And some people have gotten some of them through just playing levels over and over again, but you can't play the game as it's intended and get all the stuff that actually makes the game like really cool in the demo. So I feel like it's just a demo that doesn't really showcase the game very well, to be honest.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that does make sense.
It needs to be a little faster, but like you said, the equipment of the game makes it faster, right? Which is, I just kind of wish I had that immediately.
I found some equipment that there's a bunch of equipment that just specifically boosts your speed. So I played levels just over and over again a couple times, and I was like twice as fast as I was when I first started. It was way more fun.
Yeah.
So
because we still have some topics to go through, and we're probably going to come back to this. And guys, keeping some questions in mind when we get closer to the end of the discussion. But do you guys want to run through these? We need to kind of end the topic and move on. Is what I'm saying, basically. But is there anything that you guys want to sort of talk about in reference to the direct before we move on? Like I said, we may end up coming back to this later on because it's kind of like the hottest topic right now. But there's a couple more topics I want to cover before we're in the end game. And yes, I'm hyped for Endgame, by the way. Just putting it out there.
I'm good for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know what to say right now about it.
Well, I'll just say, I said it like several times already. I'm thinking we're going to see Joker Smash content with 3.0 update, Metro Trilogy. They may talk about some Super Nintendo games, and that may answer our question about Link to the Past. We may see some gameplay from Mario Maker 2, potentially Luigi's Mansion, potentially Astral Chain. They may have a gameplay tease for Animal Crossing because we've been begging for it forever. And Reggie's going to play a role in this, I think. And Mother 3 could be in the cards, maybe, but that's not a predict. I mentioned it in my predictions video, but I think something I wasn't clear in saying is that while I put the maybe, right, but I think if there's going to be a time that we're going to get some sort of Mother announcement, it's going to be with Reggie leaving. But if it doesn't happen, then I just don't think it's going to happen like anytime soon. So, I think there's a chance, but I'm not. That's why I mentioned it, because I think it's a chance, but not because I actually think for sure it's going to happen. But I do think Reggie will be a part of the show, and I do think Metroid Trilogy is going to be announced at some point. So those are kind of my predictions on that. And I also am not expecting, but prepared to see some sort of mention of a Switch revision. But we'll see. That may be later down the road. It kind of depends when they're coming out. Just saying the reports have suggested summertime. So if they are summertime, at least one of them, announcing at least one of the two revisions in the April Nintendo Direct isn't too, out there. But we'll come back to this topic in a little bit. I do want to move on, unless I got you guys wanting to say anything else in reference to this when I brought up all of my predictions for like the 20 billionth time. No? Okay, so let's talk about the... Oh, you got something. Maybe?
I don't know. Yeah, I do think that we're also gonna see release dates for whatever else they have that's not announced. And Mario Kart 8 mentions Town by Game Freak. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's something we haven't. We
haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like with every direct there are like so many like random games that are either announced or unannounced that I just like forgot about, or like I don't know, whatever, or like weren't announced yet, and they're just like the most random things, and it's like well, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that Town is something that's supposed to come out this year, so you're right, that is something that we could see at the direct. It hasn't been mentioned yet in a while. So yeah, definitely a good point. So but let's move on, and like I said, we'll probably come back to this because it is like the big topic of the week. But Wolfenstein Youngblood players not gonna have any cartridges. How do you guys feel about that? There's gonna be a retail release for this game, but you're gonna open it and there's not gonna be anything but a download code.
That is so, like, I think that... Wait, sorry, did I cut you off?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, okay. So I think that, like, it's so... Like, I don't really care that much about it right now, but, like, if this continues to happen in the future, like, that's probably not gonna be a good thing, and people are gonna get mad about that for sure. And I would be surprised if people are not mad about it already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I don't think anyone's happy about this. This is not, like, a good thing. For me, it's like, I probably would have downloaded it anyway. So for me, unless I'm, like, really big into collecting a particular game, I'm just like, hey, download's way more convenient for me. I'm okay with it. I do understand I'm not technically owning it. If something happens between me and Nintendo, I kind of lose access to the game. I get that. But I also really appreciate the convenience of having everything on one system. I don't have to take out the cartridges. Yes, I'm lazy, I know, but I really
I hear you on
it.
that one, though.
So, and it also is kind of something we're progressing more and more towards, right? Like, people keep saying the future is digital, the future is digital.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe it's closer than we think.
Well, yeah, but people are going to blame this more on the memory issues of the Switch rather than, like, you know, like, because there's no hard drive on the Switch and things like that, like just having a cartridge and doing the whole download code thing, or downloading partially of the game and not being able to fit the whole thing into the cartridge. That's just like a whole mess that a lot of companies don't want to deal with. And I guess here Bethesda's just like, hey, let's just not even worry about the whole split download thing and just say, just download the game, but hey, you can have a collector's case, because if you want to collect it, you can collect the case, but there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'm in an odd situation because this actually helps me a lot. See, I love buying digital games, but I get 20% off at Best Buy for buying physical. So I'm always like, well, I guess I'll get a physical game, and now I have to switch cartridges. But now I just buy a physical game and I get a digital game, and it's just a win-win situation for me.
Well, now your day is no longer terrible.
There you go.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation. For you, it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
For many others, it's kind of like a WTF moment.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, it's like it's like an oh no kind of moment, because then you realize, I mean, it makes you realize kind of where things are potentially heading, and it's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
But where do you stand on that, Kazoo? Do you like downloading games digitally, or are you a really big fan of having hard copies of everything?
I prefer the hard copies because I don't know what it is, but there's something about the hard copy, I think. Like, sometimes I do wish that I just had digital so that I wouldn't have to keep switching cartridges constantly, but I don't know. Like, I do have Starlink digital. That's one of the few things that I have digital. Yeah, I'm fine with it being digital, but like, I wish I had a hard copy. Plus, it's actually a lot about the space on my Switch, and like, I don't have space on my Switch, so like, obviously there's only 32 gigs in the Switch itself. I know you can just get an SD card, but it's like, I don't know, if I had to get all my games digitally, it would just take up so much space. There wouldn't be enough SD cards.
Yeah. It's interesting, like, here's the thing, like, for me, like, I like digital because I'm a lazy bum, and I like the convenience.
Oh, I hear ya.
But I also understand that, you know, there is, like, this, at least for me, there is a bit of, like, a philosophical debate here, because technically, when you buy digitally, you don't own the game, right? So if something does happen, you can lose access to the game. It is possible. But from my perspective, I'm just kind of thinking, well, that's not going to happen, though. I'm always going to have access to the game. In what situation is Nintendo going to be like, hey, no more for you, right?
Yeah,
it probably won't happen. Like, to the majority of people, even if you buy digitally, you will have access to the game. But there are cases where they do lose access to the game, right? And there's another argument to this, right? When you get a game in terms of like having that retail copy, it does give you something physical, something tangible. It adds to the experience, right? Because you have something tangible to look at. It's kind of like a memory.
Yeah, like, exactly. You like go like you can you can remember like going to the store to like pick up the game, and I don't know. It's just there's something fun about it.
Right, that experience of going to the store and getting it is cool. And for me, when I look at some of my old game cases, I'm like, oh man, I remember that game. Oh, I remember Metroid Prime 2. Oh, I remember F-Zero GX. Oh, all my N64 cartridges, which I don't have anymore. I need to get those back. But like, it's I get it. I get the nostalgia, and I would agree that there's something lost. I don't know how much it actually takes away from my gaming experience, because a lot of this digital is very recent for me, and I'm an adult now, so the way I experience the world is different from when I was a kid. You know, when you're a kid, memories stick with you harder. So, I don't know. I do think that there is an importance in having something physical for the memories, for collecting. Like, there's something to that, but the convenience of digital is just convenient, right? I mean, look at things like Netflix, right? Like that, and other streaming apps. Like, that's like way more prevalent now than Blu-rays. Like, Blu-rays are nothing, you know?
Yeah, like, Blu-ray,
like, it's weird, because like,
I think my parents still have their Blu-ray player.
Right, and I don't know how much they use it, but like, movies are not really collected as much anymore, right? Like, games are. And with music too, like, yeah, I guess you can go out and buy albums, you can go out and buy discs for movies, but
who has a CD player though?
It's just like so uncommon, right? Exactly. Like, it's
literally, if I bought a CD, I'd be like, well, I have this. I don't have anything to play it on, but I have it.
Right. It just most people are listening to their music on their phones or their computers, and they're watching their movies that are just streamed. They don't really own most of them. It's really just like memberships, you know, monthly memberships to these different programs like Pandora and, you know, everything. Like, it's just, I think it's just kind of inevitable, unfortunately. And I think with video games, though, they have the opportunity to offer like figurines, like Amiibo. Like, Amiibo is like, I think, something that is gonna stick around, right? Because it kind of offers an interaction with the game that's physical, and it's also collectible. So things like that, I think, will stick around, so we can still have some sort of physical something. But I just unfortunately think it's inevitable that discs and things like that are just gonna go away. As technology gets better, it's just gonna become convenient just to have it all digital.
For me, like, the other day, I went to go buy Yoshi, and I had to walk because I don't have a car. I didn't have anyone to take me. So I walked 25 minutes there and back, and it was like hot outside. I was sweating. And then it literally took me like an hour for the whole ordeal, and I got back. I was like, yeah, I got the game. I'm like, I literally only did that because I got 20% off. So I was like, okay, sure.
You should have called an Uber.
There you go. Well, then I would have negated my 20% off, and then I would just download it digitally.
Yeah.
You're right, though.
But I've never been a collector of game cases. Like, I like my figurines, all my amiibos and posters and stuff, but all of the game cases I have, they're all from the Switch. I have like one from the Wii U and one from the 3DS, and that's it. Like, I never kept any of my old ones. I usually just either sold the game because I don't have the system anymore, or just ended up the box got broke or something, you know. So I don't have any. I have like, the most I have is like Woolly World on the Wii U and Twilight Princess. They came with amiibos. They had the bigger boxes.
Oh yeah.
I have those, but I've never been in collecting boxes because I don't have a shelf to put them on. So I like my figurines. So I like to buy digital. And I'm a PC gamer, and I have not met a PC gamer in a long time who actually buys physically. Like, everyone uses Steam. Everyone uses Steam on PC.
Yeah.
That's
So,
another thing.
Do they even make physical computer games? Like,
they do, but they're really not sold very much.
a lot of computers don't even have optical drives anymore.
I don't have one on mine.
That's another great point. My computer does not have any sort of drive, and I don't feel like I'm missing out. It's better. It's better that way.
It's better, but it's also kind of sad.
It is kind of sad because it's like it is sort of something of the past, it seems, and video games is kind of like one of the few things that are still sort of holding to, like console games are still holding to that. But look at Brandon's room, like he has all those amiibos, and like it looks great. I think it looks great having those figurines like that. I'm just saying, Brandon's room is kind of really supporting my point. Like that's something that's gonna last. Like having those collectible figurines, like for those franchises to support, that's gonna last. I know some people hate the idea of it, but if you look at the other media industries, they lost their hard media.
Yeah.
So games are probably moving that direction too. I will say when it comes to young blood, it's probably more has to do with the issue of just they don't want to deal with all of the memory space issues of.
I think they just didn't want to pay for the cartridge, to be honest.
It saves them money. It does.
Yeah,
actually,
and just look at what's happening. That's why a lot of these things with the Switch cartridge are happening, because it takes too much space, and the cartridges are so expensive that look at, like, I don't know, something like the NBA 2K19 or whatever, putting it on like a 16 gigabyte cartridge, and you have to download like 20 gigabytes or something like that, because it's just not it's just not feasible for the company financially. So
right. Actually, Control Alt Dan was saying it's worth mentioning that buying digitally is the best way to support the developer or franchise. For example, buying Prime Trilogy digitally will show Nintendo there is a Metroid demand. Yeah, I mean they technically make more money when you buy digitally, right?
True, yeah, because there's no cartridge.
And I've always kind of wished that they would sell games at a discount digitally for that reason.
Yeah, but they don't want to alienate the brick and mortar stores.
Yeah. So that's actually an interesting point, though. So what if we get to the point where they just stop selling physical media, and by doing so, they're able to start selling games a little cheaper?
I wonder if at that point, because development costs for games keeps going up and up as graphics get better and games get bigger.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll just keep it the same just so they can recoup more money.
Probably, yeah.
Makes sense.
Probably,
Makes
honestly.
sense. Yeah.
This right here is the only game case I actually care about, because it's metal and it's Xenoblade Chronicles, and it's awesome.
It's so beautiful.
Wow.
It's so
That's
beautiful.
pretty.
I paid $100 to get this one.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, it also came with like a 200-page art book. It's like huge, like this. It's like it's giant.
Oh, nice.
But that's what I'm saying, though. It's like the collector's items that they create specially for a game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
those things.
that makes a lot of sense, Andres.
So, man, like there's been a lot of really cool like things that have come out over the years. Like I remember there's a special chainsaw controller that came out for Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, right? And then they've had like the the Halo, the Master Chief helmet for Halo, different things like that. Another thing that came to mind, but it's not a good one. It's the what is the vinyl duffel bag for Fallout 76. That was not what people wanted. But I'm just saying, like, things like that are really cool. So maybe if it's probably more like when digital games are the focus, that they'll put more focus into having collectibles, because they know, one, they can make more money off of it, right? Because then you can still have people buying digital stuff, but then also getting the collectible stuff for more money. And you know, because there'll be more room for that. There'll be more room to just focus on cool stuff like that instead.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's
So
a good point. That it would free up resources to be able to do that then, potentially.
Potentially, I hope that happens because those collector's item stuff was really cool. That's what I like. Where do I have it? Like the Starlink thing. I got that. I don't know where I put it. I'm just trying to show, I'm trying to show
in
you guys the
general,
Arwing.
people probably like those more than
I don't know where I put it. Oh well, sorry.
collecting games in general.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But what was I getting at? But just to kind of move things a little forward, does this news for Wolfenstein Youngblood kind of affect your purchase of the game at all?
If anything, it makes me want to buy it more.
For you, because I don't even know if you were interested in Youngblood.
It wouldn't. I don't know. I probably wouldn't buy it anyway. So, but if it was something I was interested in, I would not be happy about it. But I would still probably buy it regardless. If it was something that I really wanted to play.
Yeah.
If it was something I was on the fence about, though, it would probably make me not want to buy it.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, at this point there are only particular games that I feel like getting a hard copy for. Like, for example, when the next 3D Zelda comes out, I'll probably buy that. Right? When Metro Prime 4 comes out, I'll probably buy that physical. Like, the big, like, celebratory games that I've waited years for, those are the ones I'll, like, buy the whole thing for.
Yeah.
But aside from that, most games I'll just get digitally. I'm gonna get Youngblood digitally. Assuming I get it. I probably will. I kind of like the whole co-op feature aspect to it. So, you know, that's probably what I'm gonna be doing with it. And that's it. Although I will say, I heard apparently with Youngblood they're going to offer a download code for a second person so you can play the game with someone else.
Really? That's
yes.
interesting.
I think they'll only be able to play it along with you. They won't be able to play it on their own or something.
Yeah, there's like
okay.
a more expensive edition that does that.
So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's also like people have pointed out, like, it is if you just have that download code as opposed to like a cartridge that just has to download some of the game, like you can still kind of share that, like if you, like, say your friend wants to borrow it or whatever. So I don't know.
Very true.
yeah. So, let's transition to the chat for a bit, and then we'll get into the final topic, and we'll have some questions after that. But let me see where we're at now. Tropical Brothers is saying he's failing at a Splatoon rank battle. I gave up on that.
That's a mood.
I gave up on that a while ago. Kept blaming my team, but then I realized I need to start blaming myself. Let me see. Oh, yeah. They have a whole story for you, Brandon, and your adventures for acquiring Yoshi's Crafted World. Excuse me.
I saw part of it.
Bless you.
Thank you. At least someone cares.
Yeah. You know I don't.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, the podcast though, just saying me bringing up Starlink breaks his heart because the game didn't do well. That game was pretty darn good. I haven't beaten it yet, but I had a good time playing this beautiful game on Switch. I love the Arwing. It was just such a cool thing. Really cool
I agree,
experience.
yeah.
And you can get it for a great price right now, which is probably why it's at a great price, because the game's not selling well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt pretty cheated, but what are you gonna do? Because I bought that game when it came out.
Ooh, you wait just a little longer.
I know.
Yeah, I'll probably buy it on Amazon. It's like $40 right now for the physical edition.
I got it, the physical edition, for $30.
Oh, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that?
Ha! Amazon. I was there at the right time, buddy. I was there
Yeah,
at the right
Darcy,
time.
I think we do know that it did sell the best. Yeah,
The Switch version
I'm
definitely
pretty sure
sold
that
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's sold as much as the PS4 and Xbox One versions combined.
Yeah.
Obviously, because Fox was in there.
And it's getting a Star Fox DLC, additional DLC. I believe it's free. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's free though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah,
Which
it
makes
is.
it more Star Foxy a little bit.
It's basically the Star Fox racing game.
Kinda, yeah. As it turns out, it's at least we don't know for sure, but there is a rumor that the rumor was a fabrication, like an actual and like sometimes companies create fake leaks to sort of find out where leaks are coming from.
Yeah.
The speculation is that Star Fox Grand Prix was one of those.
Oh.
So it wasn't so much that the insiders weren't insiders; they were still insiders. It's just the companies were trying to fool the insiders. That is an element of leaks and rumors. That's why when it comes to rumors, even when it's coming from a source that you believe to be super credible, you still have to take it with a grain of salt because...
Yeah, you still don't know because it could be the company trolling.
Could be the company trolling, trying to find leakers. Sometimes
yeah,
also
trying to figure out who the leakers are so that they cannot tell their information, their real information.
Right.
To
so
them.
With everything, you have to be a little careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would definitely believe that Star Fox Grand Prix was one of those.
Yeah.
That would definitely make sense.
Actually, I think it's funny. Podcast just said, "Tell that to Dave." What's funny though, he's been vindicated lately because the Switch Pro rumors have been validated, right? So he's been going to town with that. It's interesting. Let's get into the announcement about the Breath of the Wild VR DLC and Mario Odyssey VR DLC. Kazoo, you and I talked about it a bit last week, but I did not get to hear Brandon go on a very long monologuish tangent on this.
Yes, so. I believe the exact tweet that I put out was, "Oh my fucking god, my dreams have come true." In all caps, like 10 exclamation points. I was so excited to see that because I made a video. It was 4 games that I wanted to work with Level VR, and it wasn't on the list. It was actually, I made a bonus. There was 2 extra bonus ones, and Zelda was like the bonus one, and I was like, this isn't gonna happen. And then it happened, and I was like, my mind was blown, and I literally was like screaming. My family was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not okay because Zelda is in VR now."
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. How do you think it's gonna play and run?
Well, I made a video all about that. You guys should check out. Plug that right in there.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it will actually look good. Honestly, I think it's gonna look better than Mario Odyssey because it runs at a higher resolution than Mario Odyssey does.
Really?
On the go.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's gonna look better, but it's just one of those games where the scope of it is what draws you in, like how far you can see and how much is rendered and the beauty of all of it. When you go on top of a mountain, you just see the giant landscape. Like that's gonna be insane in VR. It just adds that extra layer of depth to a game that's kind of all about the depth of the world, and you know what I'm saying? So I think it's just gonna be one of those stunning moments where you just get on top of a mountain, you just look over and you see Hyrule, but in 3 dimensions, and it's gonna blow my mind.
I'm looking forward to this. I think all 3 of us have recently gone back to playing Master Mode. And it's going to be really good to kind of experience the game in Master Mode in VR. I'm really curious how it's going to play and run, and I do hope we find out a way to play with a Pro Controller while it's on our head, strapped on, because the way it's supposedly going to be now is that you're just basically going to play like this, playing with the Joy-Cons, holding it.
That's what's going to be kind of difficult.
Yeah. It's gonna be a little awkward.
From what I've heard, and this could be completely false, but from what I've heard, it's actually like a strange law in Japan to not sell toys with that strapped to your head, but so that's why they're advertising it not strapped to your head. But apparently, there's actually on the side
Oh.
places for a strap to go. So that's what I've heard,
So
and I've seen a
okay.
picture of the side of it, and it had like a little. You could tell it was like a metal like bolt, I guess, and it looked like you could put a strap on that. So I'm wondering if in the West it's gonna have a strap that goes with it, but in the East.
I wonder if the strap will just be like something like in Japan that's just like black market.
Right.
That's interesting.
Black market head strap.
I mean, considering the nature of Labo, it's not crazy to think that we could just come up and make our own strap, right? Probably won't be that hard. Heck, that could be a tips video. How to make a VR Labo strap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DIY.
There you
DIY
go.
Labo strap.
Yeah. I see the boys are very interested in playing Zelda VR to see Zelda up close.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That frog scene is the one that comes to mind. That's definitely going to be a meme in VR.
The problem is
it's gonna be a
all
meme.
the pre-rendered cutscenes are in VR, so you can't even do that one.
The oof.
Sucks for you, perverts.
It's still going to be a meme though. It's still going to be a meme though. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna be able to have camera control probably in the cutscenes.
No, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you still probably see the cutscenes when you're just playing. It just won't be exactly no camera control.
Yeah. It won't be in 3D. It will just be normal.
Yeah. Vilbeard's saying, just imagine Lost Woods in VR, 4 frames per second, but beautiful as hell.
Yeah, well.
There you go.
I'm so curious how this game's gonna look and run. So curious. It's gonna be really, really interesting to see.
You gotta check out my video all about it.
Yeah, you talk about it, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
I'm pretty curious.
I crunched the numbers, people.
Oh.
Got the straight facts for you guys.
Straight facts.
I'm looking
Straight
for
facts.
those number crunching.
Yeah.
Go.
I even included what it would be like if a Switch Pro had a 1080p screen. So I got you guys covered on all the bases.
Wow.
Extra VR for that. So I think I'm pretty much ready to like not necessarily end the discussion, but move into the uncharted territory region where we just talk about questions and we go into things that are unplanned. Yeah. This sometimes is usually this is where the best speculation happens. Sometimes, although because I'm talking about it, maybe it won't happen. We'll be too nervous. Any final thoughts on Labo VR, or Kazoo, if you want to share more of your VR thoughts on it, because I know we talked about it a lot last week, but if you want to tell the people who are here, by all means.
Yeah, so there's a lot to consider with VR, and we don't know how a lot of it is gonna work. Like, we don't know if it's gonna be monoscopic or stereoscopic, for one thing. Monoscopic, for if anybody doesn't know, means that both images in front of each eye are the exact same thing, but with stereoscopic, it's like a little bit like slightly different image in front of each eye, to give it like that feeling of depth. So we don't know for sure about that. I mean, I would think monoscopic, because I would think stereoscopic is probably too much for the Switch to handle, is what my thought process would be. But yeah, I then also I'm just trying to now. Yeah, we also don't know along those same lines if it's going to be a hybrid, like kind of like a hybrid 2D type thing, or if it's going to be like a full 3D. I would imagine that the game is already full 3D, but I'm not totally sure.
Yeah. it's gonna be. That's why I really just want to get my hands on this thing and just see how it's gonna look and play. I want these questions to be answered. I don't understand the whole VR thing too well, but you know, your point about it being monoscopic in terms instead of being stereoscopic makes sense, right? Because the Switch is so weak, it's less to process. I don't understand how that changes the, I guess, the experience of the game.
Yeah.
I understand that stereoscopic offers better depth perception.
Yes.
It's just kind of, you know, I don't know how that's going to actually translate into the experience of the game and the VR feel of it. So
yes,
I just have a lot of questions. And when I get Labo VR later this month, I'll get the answers.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I could also see this helping VR to take off and become more mainstream than it's not, because it's not really that mainstream right now.
No,
so
but this is the most affordable like gaming VR setup.
Yeah. And then because you have things like Google Cardboard right now, and that hasn't really helped it take off to the point where it's become like mainstream, I would say. Because you don't really hear about Google Cardboard that much. I don't know. But yeah, now that you have it attached to things like Mario and Zelda, like just think about how many of us we're like, oh yeah, that Labo VR thing, like that's pretty cool. It's not for me though. I'm not the market for that. But then you see Mario and Zelda and you're like, oh my gosh, I need this now.
It's such a good marketing move. It's just, they're going to make more money now, that's for sure. Even though the DLC is free, I mean, it wouldn't make sense having it be paid. But making it free, having that to get more people to buy VR. I wasn't going to buy VR before because I don't think we were going to either. Brand, I don't think we're going to either. Now we all are, right? Those hardcore Zelda fans, they're like, what? Breath of the Wild VR? I'm there.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I think it's very smart that they didn't try to like make it a first person experience, that they left it third person, because that kind of helps you avoid the problems that are typically associated with VR games, like dizziness, motion sickness, vertigo, all that. And that is especially helpful because it is targeted a lot toward kids. So
it's gonna, yeah, that's a great point, and that's the thing to note. Like we touched on this last week, right? But like for example, Nintendo ran into some issues with the whole 3D effect on 3DS, and they transitioned to the 2DS, carrying that more towards the kids, making it more durable and stuff. And like after that, you know, kind of seeing what they're doing with Labo, that consideration of trying to avoid the whole dizziness factor. Now they're getting into the whole Labo thing, and yes, playing games in third person is easier to avoid that. I also brought up how if you look at all the additional stuff from the Labo VR kit, the expanded one, all these different devices, they offer something tangible to kind of keep you geared to the real world, that help you to sort of maintain that sense of control and direction, which will help you avoid the the dizziness. So it's interesting to see how Nintendo's handling that. It's cool, and I'm just going to reiterate for the umpteenth time, I want to get my hands on it, I want to play it, and I want to enjoy it. Even though I probably won't play much of the Labo minigames beyond 15 minutes once I build them all. It's still going to be cool to have. I am going to get the whole thing because I think it's really cool. And I hope I find a way to make the Zelda VR more enjoyable beyond the first 15 minutes as well. Because that is my fear, that we're going to see it and the novelty will wear off and we won't play much of it after beyond that. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the case though. I think we're going to be like, okay, this is cool, but it's not really changing the game that much. I'm just going to play it the normal way.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
You know, something interesting is that there are 2 games on the Switch that also have VR versions that aren't on the Switch yet, and that is Skyrim VR and Doom VR.
Oh, yes, that's true. Doom does have VR. I forgot about that.
No way. Not Doom.
Yeah, I feel like Doom maybe on a Switch Pro or something, but not
Doom
at all.
140p.
There you go. But I feel like a Skyrim runs at like almost full 720p on the handheld, so that could definitely
it runs well.
Yeah, that could definitely get the VR version.
It'd be interesting to see, man. It'd be really interesting to see. For sure. I don't know. But let's get to the chat to see what some of you guys are saying. Unless there's anything else you guys want to bring up before we get to the chat.
No.
Kazoo, anything?
I think we just about covered it all.
Okay. And if if anything comes up, just bring it up. But so I'll just get to some of the questions. So Chris, first I'll answer. What did you miss? You missed a big chunk of the podcast, but that's fine. We talked about the Best Buy leak, right? It seems fairly likely that the retail listings that Best Buy had could be true, especially with Metroid Prime Trilogy and Persona 5, because there's a lot of other pieces of information suggesting them as well. We think that it could be linked to a Nintendo Direct happening this month, which kind of leads me to the next topic that we talked about, which is the April Nintendo Direct rumor, which was for the 11th, which would be this week. Even if it doesn't happen, it kind of just makes sense for there to be a Direct this month, considering the history of Nintendo Directs, there being a need for information, there not being any confirmed published Nintendo games for the month of May. It seems really likely, and the 11th rumor could be true. We'll find out maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. And then besides that, we talked about Youngblood, Wolfenstein not having a cartridge in the case. You're going to have to download it regardless if you get it digitally or retail, which is a little bit annoying, but it is sort of a mark of the times, probably, and also the Switch just having limited resources in terms of spacing and hard drive and stuff. And then we talked about Level VR, which we're pretty much done with, I'm really excited. We're all excited to play Breath of the Wild VR, so we'll see what happens with that. That's pretty much it when it comes to that. Did Kazoo disappear, or she take a break, or I don't know what happened. Brandon, can you hear me?
I can hear.
Oh. Maybe she took a break. Not sure. I'll see in a moment. But, yeah, Mastermind saying kids kind of see the VR is going to be just on cardboard. It's interesting, right? Especially because he also has the whole Google Cardboard thing. Villar saying, I could be terribly wrong here, but I think Mario Kart 8 already exists on VR or created in Japan. And actually, that goes along with your question, Chris, that if I think Mario Kart will have VR. I think, well, one, as Vilbert said, you're right. There is a arcade VR Mario Kart game somewhere in the world.
It's not Mario Kart 8. It's a completely separate.
Yeah, it's not 8. You're right. Thanks. But it is a Mario Kart VR game, right? So, adding VR support to Mario Kart. Well, as Kazoo was bringing up earlier, right? Like Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild are non-first person. Mario Kart is not first person either, so I guess it could work out, maybe. Yeah. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I kind of just like the idea of being able to see games in, a VR perspective. I think it's just cool.
You just have a better look at the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might offer some interesting advantages because you might get a better understanding of what's happening behind you. Because, when you're playing Mario Kart, you do have the look back option, but it's a complete 180 look back, right?
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see if you can, just kind of like angling left and right as you're racing to kind of see what's going on. Say you're making a left turn, looking back while you're doing it. It's interesting. Like, have you ever gone on go-karts in real life or bumper cars and you take a wide turn, you look back behind you, you can afford to do that on a turn. You're like, oh, that's what's going on. Mario Kart VR will offer that. That'll be interesting to see. So I would like to see it. Will it happen? Well, Breath of the Wild's gotten some free DLC updates. Mario Odyssey's gotten some free DLC updates. Want to know it's another game that's gotten free DLC updates? Mario Kart. They even had the whole Labo thing that they added with the motorcycle Labo kit. So I don't think it's out of the question. I don't know if it will happen because looks like they focus on Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, but it's not out of the question. Especially if the Mario Odyssey and Zelda ones do well.
Apparently, I am currently the center of attention.
Yeah, it's locked on.
I think you accidentally clicked on my camera here.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just like seeing your face.
I've just been not even looking at the camera this whole time.
Oh yes, there you go. Yeah, my bad, guys.
There we go.
But
You're picking my nose.
Yeah, so I hope it happens, but I can't like say with any confidence that there will be Mario Kart VR. Darcy,
Yeah, but you know,
it would be cool to see.
anything is possible, right?
That's also true, and it's not really that crazy of an update to expect either. So, well, maybe.
I mean, they did Labo. They've already done Labo with Mario Kart, right? Like the motorcycle.
Yeah.
That was vroom vroom.
Yeah, I didn't like it. And I like the Labo motorcycle thing. I just didn't like how I just didn't find it comfortable.
Oh.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
big problem is it's not analog on Mario Kart, so it's just like all or nothing, and it's not designed with all the buttons in mind, so the placements are weird.
It's kind of sloppy.
I feel like if they made one designed for Mario Kart, it would have been fine.
Yeah. It's not perfect. That's kind of why I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's not like a 1-to-1 matchup, huh?
No, not really.
Yeah.
So Darcy's saying, are we seeing any non-port games announced this year that we don't know of yet? They'll also be released this year, or are we too full, or even any major DLC? It's a good question, Darcy. Like, you know, I think for sure, E3, there will be some unannounced Nintendo games that we'll see. Will they come out this year? That's I think maybe like a smaller digital title, maybe. Again, you know, Metroid Prime Trilogy, Pikmin 3 are considerations, but those are remakes or ports or whatever. They're not full-on new games. I don't really expect anything else for this year.
Yeah,
aside
not
from
really
things along those
anything.
lines. Brandon, I know you made a video, I think it was last week, talking about how it kind of makes sense for Nintendo to have a new IP. I wouldn't be shocked if you're right and they announce it at E3, but I just don't see it coming out this year.
Yeah, I kind of hinted in my video that I'm thinking it's probably, if it did get talked about this year, it's going to be like announced at E3, but it's going to come out probably like early next year.
Yeah. But I'm honestly, what I'm thinking, like the big announcements that are going to be this year, right? Switch Mini, Switch Pro. Maybe some DLC stuff is in the cards. Like maybe we could still get a Mario Odyssey DLC, maybe a Mario Kart DLC. I think those are still in the cards. Metroid Prime Trilogy, Persona 5. Those are.
You think
announced.
Mario Odyssey DLC is possible?
I think it's possible. It's just not super likely. I thought it was. It made. Well, let me explain why. So here's the thing. At one point, Shunjiro Furukawa, I think it wasn't the last earnings report, like the one before that. He had a question, and he basically said that there will be a focus on DLC with their games, on their best-selling games.
Yeah.
And this was before Smash came out. And at the time, their best-selling games were literally Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Super Mario Odyssey, the two games in the top 10 list that didn't have paid DLC, right?
Yeah.
So if Shunjiro Furukawa, the president of Nintendo, said that they would have DLC for some of their best-selling games, and their two best-selling games are the only two games that don't have paid DLC. Well, there's a few others, but those are like the big ones that stand out. Like, it's just kind of like, what's going on there? And they both have had free DLC updates, but they haven't had any paid DLC updates. It feels like there's a huge market
Huge
there.
missed opportunity, yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I think at one point there was plans for at least Mario Odyssey, but I wonder if it's a Galaxy 2 situation where instead of it just becoming like an expansion, it's just going to be a full-on new game. And we could get like an Odyssey 2 in a year or so from now. That could be the case, and it originally was planned to be DLC, or we'll still get the DLC. It just hasn't been announced yet. Nintendo's just saving it for a rainy day.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think it's possible, but because it's been so long, those chances are like, you know, getting slimmer and slimmer.
Yeah, they like diminish with each passing day.
But technically, we are getting Mario Odyssey DLC with the Labo stuff, right? We're getting some free remixed levels. Like, they're going to be, like, different challenges. It's not no new kingdoms, but we are going to get a few new VR challenges in some old levels, which is cool.
Yeah.
Nothing major, but it's cool. So, you know, be fun to play with.
Yeah, the Mario one, it's not, like, too... doesn't seem like it's gonna be like too much, like too big or anything, but I mean, Breath of the Wild, I know I keep coming back to it, but
I'd love DLC for that, but I think they're just working on the next one.
No, I know they're not gonna make any more DLC for it. They already said they were done with that, which is sad.
Technically, the Labo VR is DLC, so they lied.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, it's not paid DLC though, so it's different, but you know.
Yeah, it's an update technically.
Yeah, you could just call it that. So,
you know something about the Mario Odyssey VR that I didn't even remember to bring up is, you know, it looks like it controls differently. Like Mario controls obviously the same, but the camera's completely different. Like it's in one spot and you can like move it 360 degrees, you know, with your head, but it doesn't actually follow Mario. And I wonder if that was for motion sickness reasons, because you move around so fast, you're doing a whole bunch of jumps and flips and the camera's moving a lot. And maybe, you know, because a lot of games in VR, like when you buy like a PSVR or HTC Vive, like those are at 90 frames per second. Motion sickness and stuff. So I wonder if maybe they were like, you know, maybe we don't want to worry too much about motion sickness. Or maybe they were just having trouble getting it to run that way, because it's a lot easier to run when you're not moving the camera around a lot.
Maybe. Breath of the Wild is like a Wii U game, right? I wonder if that has something to do with it being easier to get VR to work fully in Breath of the Wild and for Mario Odyssey, because it pushed the Switch to its limit in the way it was made, right? It's a 60 FPS game, you know, it has a dynamic resolution, they can get pretty high at times. Like, I wonder if it just didn't make sense from a technical perspective for Mario, or maybe they just wanted to do something different, right? Maybe they wanted to have two different experiences with the games.
The other thing about Zelda is we don't know if they could decrease some graphical features in order to help it run, like, you know, draw distance of grass or enemy pop in or something like that. 'Cause it's a big open world game. You can decrease that thing without, you know, too much. You might not even really notice, but it helps it run better.
It's gonna look like Ark.
Oh God, Ark.
Yeah, Ark, like everything pops in like right in front of you, and it's missing textures for like moments. That's not gonna happen. We saw the trailer; it looked fine. I mean, it still may have a shorter draw distance and things like that, but I don't. Well, I guess again, what I've been saying, we'll see it when we see it. In a few weeks. So I don't know. But in terms of anything else for the year, I think DLC is always an option, so we could get a surprise for that. Of course, we're going to be getting Smash DLC throughout the year. With 3.0 update, it's going to add some new modes, actual modes, not just the character. So that's cool.
The home run mode and the
stage editor, that's the rumor.
Stage editor, yes.
Yeah.
That one.
Where's my break the targets and board the platforms, people?
I hope that happens.
What if they like announce like DLC for Mario Odyssey at the next Direct? It's just like
I'd be happy. I'd be stoked. I'd be so happy for that. I would love it. I've been waiting for that for a while, so hopefully that.
Yeah.
Every Direct, I'm like, okay, give me Metroid Trilogy, give me Mario Odyssey DLC. Nothing.
Yep. Right. There you go.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of scared that next Direct, Brandon and me are gonna be streaming it, and I'm just gonna be Metroid, like every Direct, and then for 30 minutes later, I'm still gonna be like Metroid.
Metroid?
No, nothing. All you got was Amiibo Festival 2.0.
Oh God.
Amiibo Festival 2 and
Wand of Gamelon 3.
No. How about this? Metroid Prime Federation Force
HD.
Remastered HD. HD for the Switch with online multiplayer.
And extra chibi.
What a time to be alive.
Plus new Funky Kong mode.
Even more chibi.
Yeah.
Chibi Robo is a playable character. That's what they had.
That was the real reason that they had the Chibi Robo trolling last year.
Oh my God. It was 1 year in advance.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's gonna be insane.
Okay.
But it won't be insane actually, because it's not gonna happen.
That's not happening.
No. No. Oh, a couple other things I expect for the year though. Master Chief Collection things will be announced along with Rare Replay. I don't think both are gonna come out this year. Maybe one and the other one comes out early in the year. And I think that's gonna come alongside Banjo. I published my video yesterday where I literally brought up a lot of the pros and cons for the 3 most popular Microsoft candidates: Master Chief, Steve from Minecraft, and Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And I also even talked about the likelihood of why I even expect a Microsoft character. There's several points I brought up. But ultimately, spoiler, I sided with Banjo and Kazooie, and the strongest piece of evidence for it is that there is a data mine that has rare games in a list of games that could potentially have spirits in Smash Brothers. So that's coming from the coding of Smash Brothers. So because of that, I'm thinking, okay, well, if Rare is somehow involved here, Microsoft is somehow involved here, Banjo-Kazooie makes sense potentially. If they're, I mean, technically, even if the the data mine's real, right? But even if that doesn't mean that it has to be a Banjo-Kazooie character, right? It could just be maybe eventually there's a spirit event where we get some spirits from rare characters with a Rare Replay announcement. It's also possible that maybe there was in consideration and then they decided to go with Minecraft Steve at some point instead. That's possible. So, there's different ways to interpret it. It doesn't have to 100% mean Banjo-Kazooie, but I feel like it's a really strong point for Banjo-Kazooie. So,
I really think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's... At first, I was thinking, man, Banjo's what I want, but Steve seems like the thing that makes the most business sense. But as more information has come out...
it doesn't make the most business sense.
Some people think it does because it's such a popular franchise, but, recently Aubrey Norris has come out, and she works on the Microsoft team and with Minecraft, and she's basically said that Minecraft Steve would be a stupid idea. That's basically what she
really?
said. Yeah. I could pull up the quote if you want me to read it out exactly what she said. Let me see if I might have to look. I have to pull up a source. I have a source.
All those haters on why I don't want Minecraft Steve in Smash video are gonna have to eat it. Even the people working on the game don't want it. Ha! Take that.
Wow.
I don't think it's whatchamacallit. I don't think that's it's not a deconfirmation, but it is it's a hit, It's definitely a hit. This is it.
Yeah.
I found it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So she said when this happened November 1st, right? She said Minecraft Skelly in Smash, please. She's kind of hoping for a Minecraft Skelly. Then someone was saying, or at least Steve, and then she responds, Steve is just an empty shell of an avatar that goes away when people use their own skins. No way. Right?
You're right, though. She's right.
I mean, that's what happens. And that's why I always felt like that if Minecraft Steve would make more sense, kind of more as a Mii costume or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually, that's kind of funny, though, because that's, exactly the opposite of what Steve, basically is. But yeah, I think, it would, I don't think Steve makes sense as a character because, like you said, and like they said there, it's just an avatar character. It's not, a real character with, any of its own personality. And who has personality? Banjo and Kazooie have personality.
Yeah. What's interesting though is that some of the comments in the video, I've seen one person brought up that okay, yeah, but Villager doesn't have any personality, but they put him in, and I think it's a valid point. But at the same time, here's the thing. One point doesn't deconfirm or confirm a character, right? So
yes.
So for example, I brought up in the video hey, Banjo-Kazooie is not as relevant as Minecraft Steve anymore, right? And I think that's a point against him, but I still think Banjo-Kazooie is more likely, right? And for Minecraft Steve, right, even though he's kind of more like an avatar, I think it's a point against him. I don't think it deconfirms him. I think it's a...
Oh, no, I totally get what you're saying. I just...
Right.
I don't care to have Steve in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not a fan of it. So,
I mean, if he's in the game, like, it's whatever, but...
Put it this way, if I didn't get the Fighter's Pass, right? If I didn't get the Fighter's Pass, I did get the Fighter's Pass, so I'm getting all the characters. But if I didn't get the Fighter's Pass, I wouldn't buy Steve. I wouldn't buy that separate pack. That wouldn't be interesting.
Oh, yeah, no, same. Yeah, like, I haven't gotten the Fighter's Pack because I'm not really...
There's no need yet.
Yeah.
No one's come out. I only got it because I wanted the Rex Mii costume from Xenoblade 2.
Rex Mii costume?
Yeah, you get the Rex Mii costume if you buy the Fighter's Pass.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Are you a Xenoblade fan?
Not really.
It's okay. We'll let you live.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, if you do decide to try out an RPG, you should give Xenoblade a try. It's good.
I'm not really too much of an RPG fan, to be honest.
If you're not an RPG fan, then I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, Xenoblade is awesome. So get it out there. So there's a couple other comments I haven't even gone to yet. So several, but I got the ads. I never got to them. So Mr. Den Gaming, I hope you're still here. But what do you guys think about Reggie maybe appearing in this direct as a last goodbye? And I'm sorry if you guys already talked about that, because I joined just a while ago. We did talk about it. We all want it to happen. I think we all think it's fairly likely, maybe not 100%, but there's a pretty good chance. It makes sense. You know, especially if the Nintendo Direct's on the 11th, you know, it's going to be like, this is the last full week that Reggie's working. So I think there's a good chance it could happen, and I think he can maybe announce a few things like Animal Crossing or Metroid or maybe Mother. We'll see what happens. Do you guys have anything to add to that? Nope.
Sorry, I was distracted.
Oh, it's okay. Were you doing Labo VR?
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Gotcha. And yes, Sabbath, I plan on getting Labo VR. I think it looks cool, and the Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild DLC kind of put me over the edge. Oh, Shifty's here. What's up, Shifty? Shifty has his own channel, guys. I am Shifty. Check him out. He also guests on the podcast sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah, he was on last week actually. Yeah. Can we get Labo VR support for Metroid Prime 4, please? Oh my God, I'd love that. Whenever it comes out. Oh, but if they have Labo VR for Trilogy, that'd be interesting too. Yeah. Oh man, I would love this. I would love this so much. Oh, I see. Yeah, there's a few more comments here. Okay, I see what happened. I now see. I saw the ones talking about Brandon being locked in. Okay, so anything else we should talk about? I think we're pretty much near the end. If you guys have any other points you want us to bring them up now. Although it's getting late, we're pretty much at the 3-hour mark. So
yeah, we're almost at 3.
Yeah, 2 hours 42 minutes.
Dang.
Yeah, so pretty much it. It's pretty much done. Just cross this off to get my OCD out of the way.
Nice.
But
yes.
I guess I'll briefly go over how we kind of want the year to go, right? Because of Darcy's question, it got me kind of sort of thinking like that. So tomorrow, we're gonna get the Nintendo Direct announcement, right? It's gonna happen on Thursday. Reggie's gonna be there. Mother 3 announcement. Metroid Prime Trilogy. Persona 5. I don't know if that's gonna be with Reggie, but whatever. We'll get Mario Maker gameplay, maybe a date for that. Well, does Mario Maker 2 have a hard date yet? We know it's
No, it
June.
doesn't have a hard date. It's just June.
Okay. So we'll see
June
some more of that.
2019. So yeah, we need. They could. I suppose they could just drop that on Twitter, but
They could just be like a trailer thing, like they did with Yoshi.
yeah,
possible. Definitely
they
possible.
could do that. But I feel like Mario Maker 2 is such a huge deal. Like there's so many, oh my gosh, so many people, including me, are so excited for Mario Maker 2. So I don't know, like real talk, that thing is gonna blow up Twitch and YouTube when it comes out. Like prepare yourselves, guys.
Wait, say that last thing one more time.
Oh, I just thought it was gonna... Mario Maker 2 is just gonna blow up Twitch and YouTube. Like, prepare yourself.
I see that happening. It was big on Wii U. I can only imagine what it'll be for Switch.
It destroyed Twitch and YouTube on a console nobody had, that nobody was talking about on Twitch or YouTube.
Yeah. So
yeah, and now everyone is talking about the Switch, and oh my gosh. Yeah, no. And it's still even, like, it's not as much now, but there's still, like, a big following for Mario Maker on Twitch and YouTube, like, for streams of it. Like, the community on Twitch for Mario Maker is amazing. Like, whenever I stream Mario Maker on Twitch, I like, without fail, for the most part, I'll get a raid. It's from like people I don't even know. It's pretty amazing, honestly.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah. I think Mario Maker 2 is, it could be mentioned during the Direct. So, you know, I don't, the one thing I'm kind of like confused on is what they're doing with the Smash DLC, because one, we technically only know about one character, right? But Erdrick from Dragon Quest has kind of been like the probably real character, although there could be an argument made for Sora from Kingdom Hearts. I would actually prefer Sora from Kingdom Hearts, but I do kind of believe that it's Erdrick.
Sora would be chill.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. But Kazoo, where do you stand on that though? Actually, do you have an idea of what you think we're going to see for all the Smash DLC characters, the remaining 4? Do you any predictions on that?
Well, I want. Let me tell you who I want. I want Pat Sajak for Smash.
Okay.
That's the pipe dream. Pat Sajak with alternate skin Vanna White, or Echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be the best. To address Sabbath, to address what you just said, you don't see a release date for Mario Maker until E3. I don't think so, because then it would be coming out in like 2 weeks from, like a week or 2 weeks from the time they announce it, and that's why would that happen?
Yeah, I think it will have a release date before E3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's coming out in June, the same month as E3, so, you know.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be at least in May that we get a date for it. So,
yeah, I mean, if not, it's basically, at this point, it's basically a question of, is it going to be announced on Twitter, or is it going to be announced in a Direct? So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but if they don't get a Direct out in the next week or two, then, like this week or next, then it's basically like, well, like, we're probably not getting one then.
Yeah.
They've been doing a lot of weird Twitter announcements. Like, I feel like
they have.
Like, this past, for like, starting 2018, they started announcing a lot of things on Twitter. Like, they didn't used to do that.
They did. It's like they're, like, almost trying a new social media strategy or something.
Right.
Because that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, because they didn't really they didn't just straight up announce things on Twitter before.
I think
like, that's a new thing.
What I want to say, and could be wrong, could be right, I don't know. It's just that Nintendo likes screwing with us. So, like, whatever we don't expect is what they're gonna do. Like,
yeah, the kings of left field. Does anybody like Arlo?
yeah, Arlo's cool. I like his speculation that, you know, Nintendo just if you're predicting something, Nintendo do something that makes sense, that's where you're gonna be wrong, because they wouldn't do something that makes sense. Yeah. I think that's partially true, not actually true, but like, there are some things that, like, for example, Nintendo, like, following like the history of Nintendo Direct release dates, like, that sort of lines up. You know, when there's like a long history of a trend, then that usually kind of gets you in the right direction. Not always, because Nintendo does like to do things different sometimes, right? But, you know, it helps.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. But I want to go back to the Smash thing, the DLC characters. Kazoo, do you think it's gonna be all third party?
I do. I actually do think it's gonna be all third party. That's just kind of the feeling that I got from it. And also, I feel like all the speculation is third party too. So
Most of it.
Yeah.
I mean, originally I was predicting Silex and Geno, but I don't think so anymore. Where I'm standing, it's kind of like Erdrick, Banjo, Doom Guy, and I don't know what the last one's be. I have no idea.
Oh, you think Doom Guy is gonna get in?
I kind of, if I had to pick somebody else, I think so. For a couple reasons. One, we know that Bethesda's been in talks with Nintendo and Smash has come up. That doesn't necessarily mean that they'll get a character, but they might. It could just be a couple spirits, you know. But I think they might. And Bethesda's had such a great impact, influence on Nintendo lately. And Doom Eternal's coming out this year, day and date release on the Nintendo Switch. You know, they've been really big for Nintendo with the Switch. And like I said, we do know that Bethesda's been in talks with Nintendo and Smash has come up. Like, that's a fact. So all of that, I kind of leads me to think that there will be a character. I think Doom Guy makes the most sense. Not to mention, there's this growing argument for Banjo and Kazooie. And if Banjo and Kazooie is going to be the sole representative for Microsoft, I mean, you know, Master Chief seems highly unlikely. So, you know, but maybe Doom Guy would be kind of another reason for why Banjo-Kazooie would be more of a better Microsoft rep than Master Chief if they're already going to add Doom Guy, because their designs are really similar. So, you know, that's why I'm kind of really feeling Doom Guy, and it'd be like a shock, right? Like Joker was a shock.
It would be.
So
Joker
would be Doom
was
Guy.
yeah.
And I feel like Doom Guy in a way makes more sense because at least with Doom Guy, you can play with Doom Guy on your Switch. You can't play with Joker on your Switch.
There's been several Doom games on Nintendo's console. I mean, there's Doom 64 and things like that. So
yeah,
history with Nintendo and Doom Guy. So
yeah, I know some people just don't like Doom Guy, but I'm basing it off
of Doom Guy. If Doom Guy in the Smash, I'd be so happy.
It's just the information there makes sense. Right, and I mean, if you think of it this way, right? So we have the rumor of Persona 5, which is all but confirmed at this point, right?
Yeah,
we're getting Joker.
For sure.
We know that Dragon Quest XI S is being published by Nintendo and is coming out this year for the Nintendo Switch in the States, right?
Oh, Erdrick,
right?
yeah.
And Erdrick is very likely based off everything we've seen from it. It's not just rumors. Like, there was even an Instagram post like saying, oh, with the actual Dragon Quest Shield and Brave, and we've seen Brave in the coding for the data mine for Smash. So, like,
yes, I was actually about to. Let me see here. I actually did a bunch of research on this.
Okay.
But I wanted to find it. I don't know where it is though. I think it's in my other Gmail, my other Google Docs.
Just keep looking for it. I'm just gonna finish my point. I realize it's in reference to my point, but just keep it up.
Yeah.
So, Persona 5 for Joker, right? Dragon Quest XI S for Erdrick, right? There's the rumor of Rare Replay coming to the Nintendo Switch, right? And that rumor was paired with a lot of other things, like on top of Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass, Ori, and Cuphead. Cuphead has been confirmed already, right? And we've seen proof that Xbox Live is planned for the Switch. That was on the scheduled listing for the Game Developer Conference, which was taken down. So there's reason to believe that rumor is true. Now, Rare Replay wasn't stated to be as confidently as the other things, but it's in the cards, and Banjo-Kazooie is kind of mounting. So Rare Replay, Banjo-Kazooie, Persona 5, Joker, Dragon Quest XI S, Erdrick. And also, Doom Eternal's coming out this year. Bethesda's been in talks with Nintendo with Smash. Doom Guy makes sense, right? So I'm just saying, like, it could be the plan that they have like a third-party game planned for the Switch to come out this year along with each character. So following that train of thought, right? Assuming I'm right about all of this, and you know, the only thing that's confirmed is Joker, right? Not even Persona 5 is confirmed yet. But assuming that's all the case, what would be the last character? I feel like the pattern would suggest that there's another third-party game coming out within a year or so on the Switch that would line up with another third-party rep. That's what the trend would suggest. But I'm just gonna say nope. It's gonna be Rex and Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at the end, and it's just gonna surprise everyone.
That would be weird given the Mii fighter outfit that you get.
Yes, it would. Yeah. Be. It would be.
But yeah. I
don't know. It's not a prediction. It's just a desire. I feel like Rex and Pyra are more likely for like a second Fighter's Pass, which I do think is gonna happen.
Wave. Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, I did some looking into that, for Erdrick for actually it was for a podcast from a few weeks ago. So, like you mentioned that one of the supervisors for Smash Ultimate did that post about with Kirby next to that shield, the Dragon Quest shield. It's interesting to note that while it didn't specifically tease him, like because he's not the only one who can wield the shield, but there was a Japanese leaker who said Erdrick would be coming to as DLC, and Erdrick's name was included in the leak of the DLC roster that happened like a couple months ago.
Yeah, that.
What's that?
No, are you talking about the one that had Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, Doom Guy, and Steve?
That might have been the one.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't. I did this like, I researched this like 2 months ago, so this might be out of date. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I remember there was some debate because there were posts that were validating Joker and Erdrick, but there was like a separate post that included Ryu, Doom Guy, and Steve, and then there was another one that was linked to it with different reports that included a Mortal Kombat character and someone else that I don't remember. So I don't know. And Steve has been so supported lately from many leakers and stuff, but with the recent stuff that has kind of come up with Banjo, I feel like it, you know what I'm saying, like Steve has kind of become less likely in kind of like the frame of mind for a lot of people, and Banjo's kind of gone up in terms of that struggle.
Yeah, power struggle for that. Yeah. So I guess there was also another leaker on Reddit who had a pretty good track record who predicted like Isabel, Ridley, and Simon, and so he also leaked Erdrick.
Yeah.
And his name was Vergaben.
Oh yeah.
And he's gotten most of his predictions right apparently, and claims to have heard several different names for the Square Enix rep. Because Square, like you were talking about earlier with leaks, Square is intentionally sending out fake names to try to catch people, try to throw everyone off, fool people.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also said that Steve from Minecraft would be playable, but then he went back on that and said that Minecraft would instead be a boss.
Yeah, Ender Dragon, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's been a thing. I don't know. It's been an interesting. It's kind of like been an interesting roller coaster of what to believe, what not to believe. Oh, maybe this, maybe that. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. The problem is that plans change, internal plans change. So
yes, that is true.
There could have been a lot of plans for, maybe they were going through a lot of different thought processes for what they wanted with these characters, and ultimately, what they decided on wasn't what they had to, been talking about. So they could have just, Ender Dragon could have just been a random idea they came up with. Somebody heard about it, who was working there and leaked it, but it wasn't actually going to happen. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's what a lot of what makes a lot of leakers seem not credible when they, even though they actually are, because plans just
Right. Like with Emily
change.
Rogers. Like, Emily Rogers is legit, but people like to really attack her because she's gotten things wrong. But it's kind of like, don't shoot the messenger sort of thing. But at the same time, maybe she could have been more cautious about what she was reporting because, you know, oftentimes, like, for example, we talked about in the podcast, your podcast, right? Like with Wall Street Journal, right? Like they're reporting this because they feel confident in the report. They've been sitting on the information for a while, right? So
True.
It could be one of those situations where maybe sometimes leakers, they get some intel, but the intel, you know, maybe it's a little, they kind of rush to talk about it. Maybe, like, I've heard some leakers, they don't really talk about anything until they get like 3 different sources, right? Before they're like, okay, now I'm going to talk about this. So, you know, that's something to consider. And to the point of Vergaben, even though he's gotten some things wrong lately, he got a lot of things right before the Final Smash Direct. Even with the Final Smash Direct, got that. I'm just talking about through the DLC. He's been kind of sketchy. But, like, even before that, like, he would talk about how he would have several different sources, right? And he was, it seemed like he was being very careful about different things. So, like, in terms of the whole Minecraft Steve situation, it's kind of been a little weird. Like, it's almost like he's heard different things. So, you know, it's interesting. And for me personally, you know, I've had people who told me that they've heard Steve, and then I have other people who said Banjo. Like, it's kind of like there's credible leakers saying one, and then there's other credible leakers saying another.
Yeah.
If only one of them can be right, some are gonna be wrong.
Yeah.
There's also the growing argument that what if it's both, which then would satisfy my 5th character choice. Steve, Banjo, Doom Guy, and Erdrick as the final 4. I don't know if I believe that anymore, but, you know, considering the whole Audrey Norris thing and the data mine, like...
Come on, Doom Guy.
Doom Guy, I'd be down for Doom Guy.
Doom Guy, that would be interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, Shifty here talking about it, right? Like, he's teasing that he might know who that last character could be, right? And he's even talking about himself. Like, Shifty made a video, public video, right, talking about a plant being in Smash Brothers before the Final Smash Direct, and people were like, "Nah, you crazy." And he's like, hey, "Look, this is what I've heard. This is just what I've heard." And then
inside sources? Does he have inside sources?
I don't want to speak too much for Shifty. I want him to speak for himself, right? But he publicly, yes, basically, he heard about Piranha Plant before Piranha Plant was a known quantity. Yeah, and no one was talking about Piranha Plant. Like,
yeah, no one was talking about Piranha Plant.
Yeah. Shifty's right now saying, yeah, he had 2 sources. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Mastermind saying plot twist, the code Brave is going to be Agnes.
I've heard a lot of people talking about that because
how do you even get sources?
Friends.
You meet people, you happen upon them, I guess.
I guess so.
You be social, unlike me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any,
you're
like...
social on the internet.
Yeah, Brandon's not that social. I speak for Brandon.
Yes, you're my official spokesperson. You're my PR guy.
Yeah, kinda. A little bit. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I'm still not that big of a YouTuber, right? Like, you don't even have to be a YouTuber to have inside sources, right? There's a lot of people who don't. But, like...
Yeah.
There are a few friends I have that I know things, right?
Yeah.
But I don't even ask them for that sort of stuff. Most of the things, when I talk about it, it's just based off research on public information. Like, you know, when, like, for example, I was saying, hey, there's going to be a Pokemon Direct on Pokemon Day. That was just based off intuition. You know, that was just based off research and making an educated guess. Like, those are...
Definitely, yeah.
And I feel like I'm kind of 50-50 on that. Like, I get some things wrong, I get some things right. But when you follow leaker information, you get some things right, you get some things wrong, you know? So... Yeah. it's fun. It's always fun to sort of like consider different things and talk about it, but
Yeah, speculation is fun.
yeah, that's what I'm all about, speculation. So, yeah, I think we're pretty much we've reached the conclusion of this discussion. Is there anything else you guys want to kind of like touch on before we go? Because we're over the 3-hour mark.
Over 3 hours,
it's past midnight already, guys. So.
Oh jeez, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
We covered a lot.
I think we covered a lot of ground. Yeah, a lot of territory.
Got a lot of ground. You know, it's gonna be interesting, especially if the Nintendo Direct does happen this week. It's gonna be a lot to talk about. So, you know, I guess we'll be getting into that next week.
A lot to talk about, yeah.
It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so thank you so much for listening and watching, everyone. If you could leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. Please, spare some change likes. I need it so desperately.
Question, are you wanting to send people on a raid? Or...
I don't do that, but I'm not against it.
Let me see if somebody I'm following is live.
I do have a friend who's live, if you guys want.
You know, feel free to put the link in the chat.
Oh, I can't put the link in the chat.
Who is it?
Okay. I thought links were allowed in the chat.
Are they?
I think they are.
I think they are.
Okay, I thought you had to be a mod to do it, but I will try.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, because people have put like links to articles and stuff for us to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think there's like a public chat and a live chat or something, so like it kind of filters out links, but if you pick the normal one, you can see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
There it is.
So.
Guys can go check them out.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of, you know, bid you all a farewell. Watch my Smash video from yesterday. I spent like 3-4 days working on it. Normally I don't take that long. I usually try to come out with a video every other day, but that one took a while. I feel like I break down pretty well like the likelihood of the different characters and the pros and cons for each of the 3 most likely candidates from Microsoft. Check out Brandon. The link to his channel is in the description below. He just worked on the whole, you know, Labo video talking, not with the whole VR thing, right? Comparing how it could work on the newer Switch Pro, maybe. So check that out. And the Yellow Kazoo, who's the new guest for this week, right? Maybe she'll be on a bit more often.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It was a pleasure.
On the podcast.
I
had a really good time.
Yeah, I've been having a good time. I had a good time last week, so, you know, hopefully we could do more discussions together and stuff. So check her out, guys. The link to her channel is also in the description below, right? I should put names, but the top one is the Yellow Kazoo. The bottom one is Brandon from What About Nintendo. Okay?
Yeah, so. I do, streams most days of the week. I do probably about 5 days a week of streaming, if not more. So if you like streams on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, and Periscope, then you will like my channel. It's all,
she's a girl.
All of the Yellow Kazoo, and follow me on Twitter at the Yellow Kazoo. Thanks again for having me, Andres.
No, it was a pleasure. All right. What am I gonna say? Yeah, that's it, guys. Oh, Alex Techberg Worlds. We're literally just ending the discussion. I am sorry.
No.
But there will be a replay and there'll be clips sent throughout the week. Have a good night, guys. Good night, Podcast Dojo. Good night, Shifty. Good night, Sabbath. Good night, Mastermind. Yeah, see you all later.
Good night, everyone.
See ya, and check out the raid, by the way. I'm gonna do a little raid.
Yeah, go to the raid link. Andre Restart Raid, I guess.
Yeah. Now I'll be there shortly. Actually, where's the link?
Or like Andre Podcast Raid. I don't know.
Got him. Chadley.
Chadley.
Okay.
Chadley and the Duck Squad.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna go there in a moment.
Cool.
All right. Cool. All right. Good night, guys. Take care.
Good night, everyone. Bye.